the maximum level expert. She thrives in interstellar riches. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201. A mysterious person appears. 1. When Wen Jiu knew what she should and shouldn't ask, she just pressed the question and followed Ruman back to the 3047 college. It was already past 2:30 when she returned to the college, so she could only run all the way to the door of the pharmacy classroom. Fortunately, she was late for the pharmacy class. Yan Jingcheng expressed his understanding of her lateness and only asked her not to do it again next time. If it were another unfamiliar teacher, I'm afraid he would have asked her to stand at the door and listen to the class. Everyone, turn the electronic panel to the 74th section. Today we will learn cattail grass and blue windflower. Unlike other classes, where students were reviewing intensively, Yang Jingcheng not only continued to teach them new content, but also did not even ask them to review seriously for the exam after class. The final pharmacy exam will be very simple. As long as you listen carefully in class, you can easily complete the exam. Okay, today's class ends here, Yan Jingcheng said with a smile. Let's go quickly. Don't come to me to ask what you need to review. You can pass the exam, as long as you listen carefully in class. After that, he drove the other students out of the classroom. It's not that his teaching attitude is bad. During normal classes, he would explain each knowledge point clearly before moving on to new content, so all students who took his class would definitely have no problem passing the final exam for the pharmacy course. By the way, classmate Wen, Yang Jingcheng glanced at Wen Jiu, who had consciously stayed behind. Did they give you what you were supposed to get? He spoke very obscurely, mainly because he was worried that AOS Pharmaceuticals would delay paying Wen Jiu. Teacher Yan, don't worry, the deposit has been paid. They even asked her to use the money to buy a house. When Wen Jiu thought about getting a new house, she smiled like a flower. Seeing her like this, Yang Jingcheng was relieved. After the two talked for a while, Wen Jiu left the classroom. She walked slowly to the cafeteria. At this time, Ziqingyu and Kyoshi went to the training ground for extra training, so she thought about going to the rooftop to check on her sausages first, and then going to the cafeteria to deal with the ingredients for the evening business. Except for the rooftop of the dormitory building, which is open to the public, the rooftops of other buildings in the college are always closed. However, Li Qinsen gave Wen Jiu the right to enter and use the rooftop of the cafeteria, so she could go there freely without asking the teacher. Wen Jiu just walked to the stairs leading to the rooftop when she heard a burst of tiny voices. It seemed that someone was talking while walking down the stairs. The sound was getting closer and closer, and she quickly hid in the corner, hiding herself with the full of sundries. She is just playing a trick on me. You can find someone else to do this. I really can't stand dealing with such a brat. If you have the guts, go to him and ask for a replacement. I don't have the final say on this task replacement. What's more, the target is originally mentally high. Do you think you are really coaxing a child? When Jiu could vaguely hear that a man and a woman were talking about something, and the male voice sounded familiar to her. She had just heard the deep and slightly hoarse voice of Gore Green this morning. From Gore Green's words, it can be heard that her behavior of throwing bottles this morning really made the other party very angry. It was the other female voice that she really couldn't recognize, and the words he and Target mentioned in the other party's words. She could vaguely guess that the latter was talking about herself, but she couldn't figure out the former. Forget it. I will continue to contact the target, but it's hard to say whether I can gain trust. It's up to you. Anyway, it's not my punishment if the mission is not completed. And if you have nothing to do, don't come to me. It's easy to be exposed if we meet too many times. As the voices gradually became louder, Wen Jiu could feel that the distance between them and herself was getting closer and closer. She had to hide herself in carefully again. Fortunately, there were enough debris in the corner, which was enough to hide her thin body. It was just that she couldn't see the person coming because of the debris. But this did not affect her eavesdropping, nor did it affect her secretly recording with the wisdom ring. Do you think I want to find you? If I didn't want to give you something today, I wouldn't bother to talk to you. Stop talking nonsense, give me the thing and you can leave. Then there was another rustling sound, as if Green was taking something out of his pocket. However, this sound only lasted for a few seconds and then disappeared. Wen Jiu squatted patiently in the corner for a long time, until she heard their footsteps fade away and disappear. She got out of the corner. Judging from the sound, she estimated that Green and the other person should have walked to the elevator at the end. In order to avoid colliding with the two people, Wen Jiu lowered her footsteps and walked up the stairs to the rooftop. The door to the rooftop was still locked. She felt that Green and the other person might want to go to the rooftop to hand over, but found that the door could not be opened easily, so they talked while walking down the stairs. Wen Jiu quickly opened the door to the rooftop, and after confirming that there was no one else on the rooftop, she opened the light screen panel and sent the recording to Ruman. In fact, she had wanted to tell Ruman about Green's visit to her in the past 2 days, but she was so obsessed with buying a house and renting a storefront that she had forgotten about it. Now it was just the right time to send the matter along with the recording, but she didn't know what task Green was going to do. From the conversation between Green and another person, it could be heard that there were people at a higher level who were giving them tasks, and Green's task was to get close to her and gain her trust. But Wen Jiu didn't understand why the other party wanted to gain her trust, and she was called a target. What did those people want from her? These questions needed Ruman to answer for her, but the other party hadn't replied to her message yet. After thinking about it, it was better to finish the work at hand first, so Wen Jiu walked to the rack, where she was drying sausages, and took a look. No one had touched her sausages. After observing the drying state of all the sausages, Wen Jiu left the rooftop, and returned to the kitchen area on the first floor. Jiu, where did you go just now? Zeking guy who was wiping the table with a rag. You wouldn't secretly practice behind my and Kyoshish's backs, would you? Jiu definitely wouldn't. Kyoshi looked at Wen Jiu at the door, her cute doll-like face full of friendly smiles. I went to the rooftop to see how the sausages were drying. Wen Jiu picked up the cup next to him and poured himself a cup of hot water. The wind on the rooftop was a bit strong tonight, and she felt cold all over after just a while. The cold season will be over soon, so the temperature will be lower during this period. Kyoshi saw that Wen Jiu's lips were white from the cold, so she quickly came over and gave him a big hug. Zeking guy next to her could only hate herself for being a boy and not being able to hug Jiu to show her performance at this time. Today's third update. Thanks again to every little angel for their support. 030. Chapter 202. A mysterious person appears too. Today, if you order glutinous rice balls with dumplings, you will get a small dish of kimchi. Teacher, do you want an extra serving of glutinous rice balls? Yan Jingcheng couldn't count how many times he had come to the cafeteria to eat. He smiled at the clever little girl in front of him. No, 2 servings of dumplings will be enough. Although the food at window 18 was indeed delicious, and he now knew that the student in charge of cooking here was Wen Jiu. But compared to the sweet glutinous rice balls, he preferred to eat dumplings with spicy dipping sauce. After waiting for a while, 2 servings of dumplings were served on a large plate. Yan Jingcheng glanced at his plate, and the smallest grid was filled with a few dishes he had never seen before. I think this should be the so-called kimchi. He looked at the kitchen inside the window, and saw Wen Jiu turned his head, and blinked at him. Seeing this, Yang Jingcheng immediately understood that this was the kimchi that Wen Jiu had given him as an exception. It instantly made him feel warm in his heart. He took his plate and found an empty seat to sit down. He picked up a dumpling and dipped it into the dark red sauce. The full red oil covered the original bright white color of the dumpling. Just by picking it up to his mouth, he could smell the hot and spicy smell. The chili oil used for the dipping sauce was specially made by Wen Jiu. She selected several chilies with different spiciness and fragrance and ground them into powder. She also added a lot of spice powder and seasonings. So when Yan Jingcheng ate it, he felt the spicy taste surging on the tip of his tongue. Every time he ate a dumpling, he felt a sense of sweating. Moreover, although the spiciness was strong, it was not irritating. When mixed with the delicious meat filling, it made the meat filling taste delicious and fragrant. The chili oil was spicy and tempting, and it also had a few white sesame seeds that left a fragrance between the teeth, which was very appetizing. If Yan Jingcheng was not afraid that eating too much spicy food would affect his stomach, he would have wanted to buy some fried rice and mix it with the dipping sauce. Hiss. After Yan Jingcheng ate half of the dumplings with the spicy sauce, he quickly took a sip of the dumpling soup that came with it. The light aroma of noodles diluted the remaining spicy taste between his lips and teeth. Teacher Yan, what a coincidence. LV Zuiying sat down opposite him with a plate. Are you here to eat too? Yan Jingcheng rarely stayed in the teacher's office building. He spent most of his time doing research in the Medical Research Institute. So when he saw the young woman opposite, he didn't remember who she was for a moment. I'm Xiao Lu, transferred here this semester. LV Zuiying pursed her lips and smiled softly, obviously seeing the other person's confusion. Oh, Xiao Lu, you're the new fighting teacher, right? Yan Jingcheng squinted his eyes and thought for a moment, then reacted. There were not many fighting teachers in the 3047 Academy, and several were poached by other academies during the holiday at the end of last semester. So the academy recruited several new fighting teachers this semester, and LV Zuiying was one of them. But unlike other teachers who took the initiative to apply for the job, she was transferred from a mid-level planet. However, this kind of thing is not uncommon. The interstellar population is large, and with the widespread coverage of intelligent robots, the competition for jobs is quite fierce. People who can't find a job on a mid-level planet often settle for the second best and come to a low-level planet to work for a period of time to transition, and they can also add a few entries to their resumes. After all, the technology coverage rate of low-level planets is far less than that of mid-level and high-level planets, so the demand for talents in this area of professional positions is still very high. Yeah. Lu Zuiying smiled and drank a mouthful of dumpling soup. Teacher Yan also ordered food from window number 18. Yes, the food at this window is always delicious. After a short break, Yan Jingcheng picked up another dumpling and wrapped it in the dipping sauce. Lu Zuiying on the opposite side didn't make a sound to disturb him, just ate her own glutinous rice balls in silence. Some students came to greet Yan Jingcheng in the middle, and he responded with a smile one by one. Although there were very few students who came to the pharmacy class, Yan Jingcheng was kind and gentle to students, so the students liked him very much and were happy to take the initiative to greet him. Teacher Yan, I see these students are quite familiar with you. LV Zuiying wore a friendly smile, looking very approachable, without any arrogance from the intermediate planet. Yan Jingcheng didn't like those people from the intermediate planets or even the advanced planets. He had met a lot of people at his age, but what he hated most was seeing the superiority of those people. If you get in touch with students more often, they will get familiar with you. He smiled and swallowed the dumplings in his mouth, looking satisfied. Then LV Zuiying chatted with him for a few more words, and she left the cafeteria after adding his Star Network account. Seeing her leave, Yan Jingcheng wanted to pack up his plate and leave, but when he was about to get up, he realized that he hadn't eaten the kimchi yet. Yan Jingcheng was also a person who cherished food, so he decisively picked up the chopsticks and picked up a piece of pickled radish to taste. The pickled radish was sour and refreshing as soon as it entered his mouth. It was crispy and tender with a little fragrant juice. After a few crunchy bites, Yan Jingcheng felt that his appetite was mobilized again. The feeling of hunger began to spread in his body as he chewed in his mouth, but there was nothing else to fill his stomach at the moment. He looked at the window number 18, but unfortunately there was a sign that it was sold out and closed. So he had to run to other windows, bought a portion of vegetable fried rice, and quickly sat back in his seat to start shuffling rice. Although the taste of this fried rice was much better than others, it was still not as delicious as the food at window number 18. But with this sour and spicy pickled radish, he couldn't help but shovel fried rice one bite after another. This taste was so appetizing that just chewing the pickled radish a few times made him secrete saliva crazily. A full bowl of fried rice was eaten clean by Yan Jingcheng with the pickled radish. You know, when he usually comes to eat food from other windows, he has no appetite at most after eating half. He looked at the big bowl in his hand, which didn't even have a grain of rice left, and couldn't help shaking his head and sighing in his heart. It seems that in the future, when he eats the food from window number 18, he must eat it all at once. Otherwise, how can he keep healthy? Eating 3 servings of food at a time, he felt that he could become a big eater. Sister Jiu, your kimchi is really delicious. Jiu covered his mouth and burped. He had just eaten a large plate of dumplings with kimchi, and now his stomach was about to explode. Fortunately, the school uniform jacket was large enough to cover his small belly, otherwise Kyoshi would definitely laugh at him if she saw it. I think so too. Kyoshi took a tissue and wiped her mouth. But can this kimchi be made into other dishes? I think it tastes good with other ingredients. Kyoshi's words touched Wen Jiu's heart, so she smiled and said, of course, I'll make you a pickled pepper chicken dish tomorrow. Today's first update. Thank you for the support of every little angel. Please vote if you can 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203 Pickled Pepper Chicken Offal 1. Wen Jiu always keeps her word. That night, she went shopping in the Star Network supermarket. Chicken offal is a general term for chicken offal, including chicken heart, chicken liver, chicken intestines and chicken gizzards, which contain a variety of nutrients. 1. These offal are not purchased by many people on weekdays, so they are often placed in unpopular places for discounts. Wen Jiu searched for a long time before she found the chicken offal she wanted to buy. When she saw that £1 only cost 20 star coins and £1 was free when she bought £2, she decisively placed an order for several pounds of chicken offal. The next morning, after class, she hurried to the storage office to pick up her fresh food delivery. The student who had lent her the cart happened to be on duty. When he saw Wen Jiu coming to pick up the delivery, he immediately said enthusiastically, "Student Wen, do you want me to lend you a cart?" "Thank you, but I won't need it this time." Wen Jiu smiled. "The delivery this time is not heavy, and I can carry it." She has been eating full meals in the college for several months, and with the nutrient solution provided by Zhu Wangming, she is no longer the pale and skinny person she was when she first entered the school. Although Wen Jiu still hasn't gained much weight and looks thin and delicate, she now has a bright and attractive posture. When she smiles, her 2 small fangs add a bit of wild charm. In addition, the earrings Ruman gave her, the tips of her ears glowed with a cold silver light. She looked both good looking and refreshingly youthful. Oh. The female student saw Wen Jiu smile and felt a little shy for a moment. She scratched her head embarrassedly and then met Wen Jiu's bright grey blue eyes again. "Student Jiang, you haven't picked up my express yet." Wen Jiu blinked in confusion. She just smiled friendly and saw Jiang Zioing in front of her blushing. "Sorry." Jiang Zioing quickly came to her senses and hurried to find the express for Wen Jiu. It was not until Wen Jiu walked away with the express that Jiang Zioing breathed a sigh of relief. She took advantage of the moment when she was not so busy and quickly sent a message to her friend. "Yingbao, help, I feel like I'm gay." However, Wen Jiu didn't know that she was developing in the direction of a girl killer. She only knew that she was craving for pickled pepper chicken offal and she just wanted to rush back to the kitchen to cook. This time she bought a few more pounds of chicken offal, intending to soak it in brine and stew it. After all, stewed chicken offal is also very delicious. Especially after the chicken gizzards are stewed, they are not only chewy, but also full of stewed fragrance. Wen Jiu ran into the kitchen with the express box, thinking that there would be pickled pepper chicken offal to eat. Zikingai and Kyoshi still had to practice for a while as usual, and Wen Jiu was used to it. After all, the final exam is very important, but she is gifted and doesn't need to review and practice often. So she quickly opened the express box and then skillfully opened the Bikaliv broadcast. "Hello, everyone. I missed you so much after not seeing you for a night. When Jiu put the fresh keeping box containing chicken offal on the table, ready to take out the chicken offal inside to defrost. What delicious food will Sister Farke cook for lunch today? I grabbed a portion of glutinous rice balls yesterday. They are so sticky and sweet, so delicious. I heard that eating too much sticky rice is bad for the stomach. Brother, please step back a little. I will help you bear this pain. I came here through recommendation. Are there any old fans who can tell me how this anchor cooks? When Jiu just put the chicken offal into the water to thaw, and then the system popped up a prompt window. Lulu notified her last night that today is a day when the second round of park begins, and she will help her push the live broadcast room to a good position in the newcomer area to increase the popularity. So when Jiu calmly confirmed the park information, and in a few seconds she saw her live broadcast room squeeze to the left side of the screen, and the right side was the live broadcast room of the anchor who was going to park with her. Hi hey. When Jiu was attracted by the familiar female voice, and when she looked up, she saw Fujikura Sachiko waving at her enthusiastically. Hi, Miss Sachiko. Since she met Sachiko Fujikura in the first round of park, she would occasionally chat with her on Starnet. Sachiko Fujikura likes the food made by Wen Jiu very much. She would come to her live broadcast room to watch it every time she finished dancing live, and she watched it openly in front of her own audience. So many of Sachiko Fujikura's fans know that their sister was captured by the food of Gongzi Farke. Miss Sachiko's fanboy. This wave is the sister against her treasure, gritting teeth. I want to spend the rest of my life with Sachiko. Sachiko, look at the bad woman opposite. This is the arrangement of fate. You are destined to be enemies. It's a competitor. Love Sachiko treasure. There will be no good result if you are together. Miss Sachiko, just give up on her. What she can give you, I can too. Oh, what are you talking about? Sachiko Fujikura smiled shyly at the camera and quietly picked up the lipstick to touch up her makeup. She just treats Gongzi Farke as a good friend, and usually chats with her, and gives her tips. It's not as exaggerated as these fans say. Moreover, Gongzi Farke speaks well, cooks delicious food, and sends cute emoticons when chatting with her privately, so of course she likes her a little bit. But it's just a friend's love. Sister Farke, what delicious food are you going to make today? Hearing this, Wen Jiu pointed the camera at her kimchi jar and said, today I'm making pickled pepper chicken offal, a particularly refreshing and appetizing dish. Fujikura Sachiko was very confused when she looked at the earth-colored jar, but she was very sensible and didn't ask more questions, just looking at the light screen panel with expectant eyes. Miss Sachiko's fanboy. Woo 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 woo. When can Miss Sachiko look at me with these starry eyes? Love Sachiko Bayo. Forget the one in front. I would rather Sachiko look at Sister Farke with starry eyes. Pumpkin Agwanan. Please, don't bundle crossing KCP without authorization. Although it's very good, please do it in private. Beauty is speechless, don't you? Sachiko, have your own wife. Why do you want to steal my rich sister as your wife? When Jiu just took out a handful of pickled peppers and ginger from the jar, she cut the ingredients into small pieces and put them into a basin beside her for later use. She looked up and saw the barrage on the light screen panel, and she almost laughed out loud. Please let me walk independently. I'm not anyone's wife. These words made Zikingayu and Kayoshishi, who were cleaning nearby, stunned. Are live broadcasts so weird now? Let Wen Jiu go. She is still a child. In fact, Wen Jiu wanted to apply for a cleaning robot before, but they felt that if they were not allowed to do cleaning, they didn't know what else they could do in the kitchen. They always felt bad about eating for free and getting paid for nothing. So Wen Jiu did not apply for a cleaning robot, letting Zikingayu and Kayoshishi play freely. Today's second update, please. Little angels, vote for me. Kak. PS. 1. From Baidu Encyclopedia Pickled Pepper Chicken Offal. Chapter 204 Pickled Pepper Chicken Offal 2. I'm so hungry, I don't care. I unilaterally declare that Sister Farke is my wife. Little bear poo poo poo. What do you mean by your wife's wife? Sister Farke is the mother of all our K fans. Please respect the daughter fans. Okay. Well, why are all K fans so cute? Fujikura Sachiko was amused and giggled. I want to join you too. I'll be Sister Farke's sister fan. She propped her chin with one hand to look at the light screen panel. In fact, there is another reason why she likes to watch Gong Zifake's live broadcast. That is, there will be no fan fights. Miss Sachiko's fanboy, please, don't kidnap our Miss Sachiko, the fans next door. Stay away from her. Grievance, I want to spend the rest of my life with Sachiko. If I join K-fans, can I be sisters with Sachiko? Big baby Sachiko, brother Yusheng, aren't you a man? In order to get closer to Sachiko, you really do whatever it takes. Wen Jiu pursed her lips to prevent herself from laughing. She washed the thawed chicken offal with salt several times, then picked out the gizzards and removed the fascia and the white part that affected the taste. Then she sliced or cut the ingredients one by one and finally poured them into a basin and marinated them with cooking wine, ginger and garlic. Next, I'll take out some pickled radishes. It will taste better when I put them in, when I stir fry them later. Brother Monkey, the jar used by Sister Fake doesn't look like an ordinary jar. Is it custom made? Where can I buy it? Can I learn to make kimchi? Brother Monkey's 3 questions in a row were particularly different from the barrage of people calling their mothers and wives. It was custom made. When Jiu continued, after signaling Zikingayu to boil hot water, my jar was made at the Gaoleo custom refining shop, in the gold panning shop. The boss's craftsmanship is very good. In fact, she was fulfilling her promise. After all, Gaoleo gave her so many star coins. Moreover, the craftsmanship of the other party is really good. After a few adjustments, she was able to complete her requirements, so it was okay for her to promote it. But the money fans obviously thought it was wrong. 1 week flowering period, money fans. Our lucky mom is really going to get rich. Which big guy is so discerning and was the first to find our mom to advertise? The green grass on the head. Everyone, please pay attention to Gaoleo's store. Next time you need it, go to him for customization. To prove the spending power of our money fans. Old 5 Big Tiger, Sister Fake, I really have to call you sister. From now on, you are my sister. If you have any customization, come to me. Just name your price. As soon as Gaoleo posted this barrage, everyone instantly understood that the big guy who was looking for Gongzi Fake to advertise was one of the money fans. I'm so hungry, I didn't expect the big guy to be next to me. This is Leo Wu in our group. So you are Gaoleo Wu, the man like the wind. What's Leo Wu? I just call him brother. Brother, remember to give my lucky mom more advertising fees. Don't make my lucky mom suffer. The comments became more and more strange as time went on, but fortunately, it was not long before the canteen opened. When Jiu, Zikingayu and Kaioshishi were busy running the windows, so she just pretended not to see the strange comments. After all, the money-loving people kept calling her mom and wife, and she really didn't know how to respond. Who would have thought that when she was a teenager, she would be recognized as mom and wife by a group of brothers, sisters, uncles, and aunts. Window number 18 is always the first to close, so after more than an hour of busy work, when Jiu asked Kaioshishi to hang up a sign to suspend business. Now let's start making pickled pepper chicken offal. She heated a large pot of oil. There will be 3 rounds of tasting later, and everyone who wants to grab a tasting seat remember to be prepared. After estimating that the oil temperature was right, when Jiu poured 4 servings of chicken offal into the oil pan, and the crackling sound of frying oil instantly rang out, followed by bursts of oil fragrance. The bright red chicken gizzards and chicken hearts gradually turned grey in the frying pan, and the long chicken intestines began to shrink as they were boiled in the hot oil. Then she poured the chopped pickled peppers, pickled ginger and garlic slices into the pot, and added a few spoonfuls of chili oil she had fried. After stir frying a few times, she added the pickled radish and scallions cut into thin strips. Waves of spicy aroma filled the air, making every viewer watching the live broadcast drool. Miss Sachiko's fanboy, woo 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 woo, it smells so good. If Miss Sachiko and Sister Fake can eat such delicious food every day together, I agree to this marriage. Pumpkin Dagwanan, the guy next door is wishful thinking. Sister Fake belongs to us money lovers. I've already said that Sister Fake and I are just good friends. Fujikawa Sachiko stuck out her tongue mischievously. Don't pair us up. I believe that anyone who has watched Sister Fake's live broadcast will like her. Fujikawa Sachiko has never thought about pairing herself up with Gongzi Fake. She just wants to be good friends with him. Thank you for your compliment, Sachiko. Wen Jiu poured the prepared pickled pepper chicken offal into a large plate. As usual, I'll eat first, and we'll start tasting later. After she finished speaking, she made a look for Zikingayu to serve the rice. Zikingayu is now an ordinary little genius in steaming rice, so he quickly served 3 bowls of rice. Wen Jiu picked up the rice and tasted it. The moisture and softness were just right. Then she picked up a chicken gizzard, and the spicy and sour aroma instantly swept her taste buds. Although it tastes quite chewy, it is not difficult to chew, and you can fully taste the flavor of pickled peppers and pickled ginger while chewing. And it is also mixed with the unique sweetness of cherry radish, so there is a sweet aftertaste on the tip of the tongue after eating it. Paired with sweet and soft rice, it makes people want to eat a second bite after the first bite. The chicken heart is cut in half, which is softer than the gizzard. The tiny holes are soaked with spicy and sour soup, and a light bite can burst out the juice that stimulates people's appetite. Pick up a small piece of chicken intestines and match it with pickled radish. The refreshing sour and crisp taste spreads between the lips and teeth, and the fragrance and sweetness of the radish are integrated into it, so it tastes full of layers. It's so spicy. Zikingayu really couldn't help but open his mouth. He suddenly dug 2 mouthfuls of rice to suppress the spiciness. His already rosy lips were so spicy that even the corners of his mouth turned red, and a layer of mist was also misted in his beautiful peach blossom eyes. Kyoshi next to him was not much better. She was so spicy that she kept fanning her mouth with her little hands. Here, Wen Jiu got up and went to the refrigerator to find 2 boxes of milk. Drink this to relieve the spiciness. The milk was sent by Uruman, but she was in the classroom at that time, so Uruman went to the kitchen and stuffed the milk into the refrigerator. Today's 3rd update has also been delivered. Please check it out. Little angels, thank you again for the support of every little angel. Thank you everyone. 030. Chapter 205 Pickled Pepper Chicken Offal 3. Zikingayu took the milk carton and quickly opened the lid to drink a sip. The rich milk aroma was slightly sweet, and it had a different flavor after being chilled. As soon as the cold milk entered his mouth, his tongue, which had just been addicted to the spicy pickled pepper chicken offal, was instantly soothed. After he and Kyoshi drank the milk to relieve the pain, they continued to attack the pickled pepper chicken offal. After a few mouthfuls of chicken offal, the hot and spicy taste swept over them again. Hiss, Zikingayu drank another sip of milk. This is really spicy. In fact, Wen Jiu didn't put too many pickled peppers in, and the pickled peppers would be sour and refreshing after being pickled, so it didn't taste so spicy that it was uncomfortable. It's just that Zikingayu and Kyoshi kept scrambling to eat, and they ate too quickly, so the spicy taste in their mouths was particularly strong. Wen Jiu watched the 2 of them fighting for the chicken offal, and she just smiled and picked up pickled radish and pickled ginger to eat with rice. The pickled radish is crisp and delicious with rich juice. Because it is cherry radish, it tastes sweet. The pickled ginger is pink tender ginger, which is not as spicy as old ginger. Instead, it is crisp and has a light fragrance. A Big Wolf 33, I gave you a gift, Sister Fake. Can you start the tasting soon? My saliva is all over the floor. Ding dang 20, what sister? Call me Fake mom. Mom, when will you give the children food? A piece of watermelon rind. If you don't understand, just ask if you are a new fan. Will you have food if you call me mom directly? Not only the barrage on Wen Jiu's side is clamoring for her to start the tasting soon, but even the barrage on Fujikawa Sachiko's side is also making a fuss. Miss Sachiko's fanboy, to be honest, I want to squat next door to try it. Love Sachiko Bayo, fanboy, you traitor. Sachiko is about to start the Heat Park stage with the next door. If you want to go, at least open a small account like me. I want to spend the rest of my life with Sachiko. You actually opened a small account to go to the next door. Too much. Sachiko, you should take care of these traitors. Sister Fake Sachiko Fujikawa looked at the light screen panel of the other half with shining eyes. The big plate of pickled pepper chicken offal attracted her attention as soon as it came out of the pot. especially the sour and spicy taste. After it came from the sensor, it firmly hooked her soul. Sister Fake, please start the tasting quickly. Sachiko Fujikawa saw that the bowl in Gangxi Fake's hand was empty, just like her own empty stomach. In fact, she rarely speaks in this delicate voice, because when she broadcasts live, she relies on strength to attract fans instead of being cute and coquettish. That is, when facing Gangxi Fake, she will open her big watery eyes, with her pure and charming face, and speak in a delicate tone that anyone who hears will be moved. Wait a moment. Wen Jiu stood up and added a bowl of rice for himself. I'll eat another bowl, and when I'm full, we'll start tasting. Pumpkin Big Guanan, Sister Fake is indeed our iron-faced and selfless good mother. Mom, take your time to eat. I'm not in a hurry. Whined like man. Sister Fake, your heart is so hard and cold. How could you refuse such a lovely lady? You really did a great job. Beauty speechless. My wife is really worthy of being my wife. She can decisively refuse the beauty's coquettishness. Wen Jiu's appetite is not big, and the meals she cooked are all what she is used to eating. So compared to Zikingayu and Kaioshishi who eat a lot every time, she usually eats 1 or 2 bowls. After eating the second bowl of rice, Wen Jiu prepared to start tasting and stir fry and sweep. She just poured some oil into the wok and saw the light screen panel prompt that the heat park stage has started. It is still the same as the first round. The park bar of both sides starts from 50%. The more fans give rewards, the higher the park bar of the anchor will be, thus suppressing and reducing the park bar of the other party. The only difference is that there are 5 chances in the second round of park. As long as you win 3 times, you can enter the third round. The green grass on the head, the heat park has begun. If you can pay, send gifts and rewards. If you can't pay, please like and share the live broadcast room. Chris wants to eat 5 bowls. I'm coming. I'm coming. Everyone, get moving. Miss Sachiko's fanboy, fight for Miss Sachiko. Go for it, my family. Big baby Sachiko, I will send a yacht directly. Did Miss Sachiko feel my love for you? It's hard to say whether Fujikawa Sachiko felt the love of fans. At this time, she only felt the rich sour and spicy taste of pickled pepper chicken offal, and the soft, glutinous and sweet white rice emitting heat. The first round of tasting will begin next. Wen Jiu exerted force on his wrist, and flipped the pan very skillfully. The blazing flames grew larger, and illuminated the entire kitchen. She had just used a spatula to stir fry the pickled pepper chicken offal until it was ready to serve when she caught a glimpse of a slender figure coming in from the door. She didn't even have to turn her head to see that it was Yuruman who came to eat. Yuruman had originally planned to come to the cafeteria to eat some dumplings at noon, but Huankyumai had something to ask her at the last minute, so she wasted the precious time to buy dumplings. Fortunately, she was very familiar with Wen Jiu now, so she just had to come to the kitchen to wash her hands and eat. When she entered the door, she saw Wen Jiu doing a live broadcast again, so she took the bowl and chopsticks for herself and sat at the small table in the corner. Hello, Mom. When Zikingayu saw that it was Yuruman who came, he was so busy eating that he suddenly thought of this sentence. Ha 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 ha. Kaioshishi laughed at him mercilessly and then said to Yuruman, Teacher Yu, please get some rice before eating this chicken offal, otherwise it will be too spicy later. Hearing her say this, Yuruman smiled and went to serve herself a bowl of rice. Zio's classmate, just say hello to the teacher next time. Don't let your mother hear it and beat you when she goes back. The family situations of these students are recorded in the college archives, especially for the special situations like the 3 of them. Yuruman will naturally remember more when she is the dean of teaching. In fact, compared with Zikingayu and Kaioshishi, Wen Jiu, an orphan without a father or a mother, is not a special life. For example, Zikingayu, the young master of the Z family, instead of going to those private colleges with high admission rates, he came to the public 3047 college to study. This is very puzzling to many people. And Kaioshishi, her situation is more complicated. Others were brought by their parents, or came to register by themselves. Only her cousin asked someone to help send her here to study. Yuruman had mentioned this to Wen Jiu before, but Wen Jiu didn't know about it. After all, she didn't like to pry into other people's privacy. She felt that, as long as she knew that these two people had no bad intentions towards her, and that their character and personality were acceptable, that would be enough. Today's first update, please check it out. Little Angels 030. Chapter 206. Going to the new house for dinner 1. After Wen Jiu swept away all the dishes in the 3 rounds of tasting, her park with Fujikura Sachiko was over. Although I lost this park, I got the pickled pepper chicken offal. Fujikura Sachiko was eating the pickled pepper chicken offal with a happy face, and her snow white face was stained with a layer of crimson due to the spiciness. Even her ears and nose tip were stained with pink, and her smooth forehead was covered with a thin layer of sweat. She originally had bangs to cover it, but as her body temperature rose and she began to sweat, she picked up the curling iron and curled her bangs without caring about her image. Miss Sachiko's curling iron. After a few months, I finally appeared on camera again. Woo woo woo. Miss Sachiko looks so good with her forehead exposed. From a soft girl to a royal sister. I want to spend the rest of my life with Sachiko. Don't be discouraged. There is no regret in losing to the rich sister. At least Sachiko got the food. Little bear poo poo poo. Sachiko next door got the tasting. Why can't I get it? Wanzhou, wake up. Sister Fake now has 200,000 regular viewers for her live broadcast, and her fans have exceeded 100,000. How can you get them? I'm so hungry. What? There are 100,000 fans? Sister Fake, consider giving her 100,000 fans a bonus. Wen Jiu was going to close the live broadcast after chatting for a few more words, but when she saw the comments from the fans, she noticed that her live broadcast account actually had 100,000 fans. She thought for a moment before saying, I'll consider it. If I want to give her 100,000 fans a bonus, I'll post a message on Zingbo and my personal dynamics, so remember to follow me. Because the popularity park was over, she automatically disconnected the half screen she shared with Fujikura Sachiko. Wen Jiu chatted with the fans for a while before closing the live broadcast. You're really Wen Jiu? Your live broadcast account actually has 100,000 fans? Yu Ruman had been listening. She had some beads of sweat on the tip of her nose, and her already rosy lips were made even more gorgeous by the spiciness. Jiu is so awesome. Kyoshi sat on the chair with a smile on her face. Should we celebrate for you? Sure. Zikingai had just put the dishes into the dishwasher. If we celebrate, can we eat the feast made by Jiu? As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Yu Ruman and Kyoshi looking at him at the same time, both of them looking at him like a fool. Well, the mouths that are not needed can be donated. Kyoshi shook her head and smacked her lips, then looked at Wen Jiu and said, of course we have to go out to eat to celebrate. How can we let Jiu cook? Yu Ruman next to her also nodded in agreement. Shishi is right. How about I take you out of school to have a meal at Fista restaurant on the weekend? When they heard about Fista restaurant, Zikingai and Kyoshi's eyes lit up. The former loved to pester her brother to go to Fista restaurant for dinner when she was at home, and the latter, although she had only been there a few times, still remembered the deliciousness of those meals. But they soon calmed down. After all, no matter how delicious the food at Fista restaurant was, it was far inferior to the food made by Wen Jiu. Well, how about I cook a meal for you this weekend? Wen Jiu thought for a while. I can take you two to see the new house I bought. She was actually very happy to see others treat her to a meal, but the price of Fest restaurant was expensive and the food was not good, and she felt that eating there was just giving money away for free. So Wen Jiu thought that instead of giving the money away for free, it would be better to let Yu Ruman keep it for herself. It just happened that she could also take Zikingai and Kyoshi to get to know each other, and they could come to visit her during the holidays. Great. At this time, the two of them clapped their hands without any grudges, and even smiled at each other. Yu Ruman next to them also smiled and said, then I will obey your order. A week passed quickly. In addition to being busy working in the academy to make money, Wen Jiu would also go to the Star Network World to set up a stall after teaching cooking classes in the evening. However, she has reduced the number of talismans she sells now, and some talismans are no longer sold casually, so many customers now only look for her to tell fortunes. and after setting up stalls several times, she also welcomed two old acquaintances. One was Zhuang Rudy, who would come to see her every once in a while. This time, she came to ask her about her work in the entertainment industry. Wen Jiu saw that the black energy on her body had decreased a lot, and she knew that Zhuang Rudy had donated to charity as she said. So after helping her to read the fortune, she gave Zhuang Rudy a peace amulet, and also told her that she could consider working in the entertainment industry. Another old acquaintance was Meng Jiu, who had not visited for a long time. As soon as she came, she asked to buy an insect repellent and mosquito repellent amulet, and said that the amulet he bought last time was very effective. When he was on a mission, he successfully avoided mosquito bites with this amulet. Compared with spraying unpleasant insect repellent water to cover up and avoid, Meng Jiu prefers this simple, rough and odorless amulet. Although Wen Jiu has reduced the number and types of amulets he sells, it is still no problem to sell a few insect repellent and mosquito repellent amulets to Meng Jiu. Before Meng Jiu left, she pulled her aside to chat for a while, saying that she would definitely bring her new customers next time. Wen Jiu just smiled and didn't take it seriously because she already had enough customers now. Moreover, she didn't have much time to set up the stall at night, so these customers had to line up in advance to grab a spot for fortune telling. In addition to the tens of thousands of star coins she earned from setting up the stall several times, Bacaliv in the college cafeteria also settled her wages. So when Wen Jiu opened her eyes on Saturday morning and turned on the light screen panel, she saw several reminders of payment arrival. Although the cafeteria increased the teaching fees and robot rental fees, the salary was still not much more, only less than 10,000 star coins. After all, there are still many students who have to repay their tuition fees first, and there is no extra salary to pay Wen Jiu's teaching fees for the time being. But she is not short of money at the moment, and the salary settlement from Bacaliv alone is enough to satisfy her for a while. With the newly arrived wages, Wen Jiu's account balance, which was only more than 500,000 star coins after buying a house, instantly increased to nearly 700,000. Sure enough, being an anchor is making money, and the reward money she received is more than 100,000 star coins. Get up. Wen Jiu was still lying in bed counting the balance and saw Shishi pull open her quilt. We still have to go to the supermarket to buy ingredients. We all remember that you said you wanted to cook. Hearing this, Wen Jiu suddenly turned over and walked towards the bathroom. She did say a few days ago that she would invite Shishi and the others to visit her new house, so she discussed it with Yuruman last night. They went to the supermarket together in the morning to buy some ingredients, and by the way, they could also help her buy some daily necessities, and then go to the new house. But in addition to these things, Wen Jiu also communicated with Zhuang Ming in advance. She would go to the hospital for a follow-up examination in the afternoon and see Lao Chu. Today's second update is also delivered. Little angels, please give some votes. 030. Chapter 207. Going to the new house for dinner too. Wow, the environment of your community is really good. After the car door opened, Zikingayu got out of the car. Considering that this time there were 4 people traveling, Yuruman specially changed to a hovercraft to carry people. However, Wen Jiu could see that not letting Yuruman race really made her lose interest in driving. She was like an ordinary driver who had lost her soul, and she parked the hovercraft in the parking lot with a look of despair. Let's go. Wen Jiu smiled and pointed to the front. My home is over there in Unit 12. The 4 of them walked quickly to the door of Unit 12. The residential buildings here all have 2 elevators and 3 households. No one else has moved in on Wen Jiu's floor, so the corridor is very quiet. After she confirmed her iris and fingerprint, the smart door lock successfully unlocked and opened the door. After entering the door, what came into view was the spacious and bright living room. The haze blue walls were dazzlingly illuminated by the sun, and the marble floor was also shining. When the breeze blew in, it caused the light-colored gauze curtains in front of the French windows to flutter gently. Wow. Zikingayu stood at the door and looked inside. It seems that the real scene and the virtual panorama are exactly the same, and it is even warmer when the sun shines in. It looks good, but I don't think it's warm enough. Shishi followed Wen Jiu in. Because there was a sweeper given by the real estate company to sweep the floor, they could go in directly without changing shoes. Kyoshi put the flowers and vases she bought on the dining table. She bought them specially in the supermarket just now. She remembered that when Wen Jiu looked at the house before, the decoration color of the house was mainly cold colors, so she picked some orange tulips and yellow sunflowers to add a touch of bright color to Wen Jiu's house. Seeing Kyoshi, she took out the gift first. Zikingayu followed closely. He thought that Wen Jiu had just bought a new house and had nothing, so he wanted to transfer money to him directly, but he received the canteen salary transferred to him by Wen Jiu this morning. If he doubled the money and transferred it back, he always felt that he would be scolded by the other party. So Zikingayu thought about it in the supermarket and bought a cleaning robot that he thought was the most practical. In this way, Wen Jiu could use this robot to clean. Whether it was sweeping, mopping, or sweeping the dust on the table, the cleaning robot could do it. Sending flowers is so boring, and you have to look to me, Zikingayu, for gifts. After saying that, he took out the box containing the cleaning robot from the storage space of Ziji. Seeing this, Kyoshi just snorted and ignored him. I like everything you two gave me. Wen Jiu was busy sorting out a lot of things she bought in the supermarket. You guys can sit down first. I'll go to the kitchen after I finish cleaning. Hearing her words, Yu stood silently by her side to help her clean up. After Kyoshi put the flowers in the vase, she also ran over to help. Only Zikingayu was busy unpacking the box, trying to get the robot out and put it away quickly. The three of them packed up very quickly, and soon the house, that looked like a model house, was filled with the atmosphere of life. There were several pairs of new slippers in the shoe cabinet. Various toiletries were placed on the light grey sink in the bathroom, and the refrigerator was also filled with food and drinks. Wen Jiu bought all the daily necessities he could think of, but it was inevitable that there were a few things he missed. But it doesn't matter, he can buy more slowly after the holiday. After packing up, Wen Jiu took Kyoshi into the kitchen. Only Yu and Zikingayu were left in the living room to study the cleaning robot. Shishi, come here. Wen Jiu handed a large bowl of vegetables to Kyoshi. Please help me wash these vegetables. With Kyoshi's help, Wen Jiu only had to deal with the meat. This meal was to celebrate her reaching 100,000 fans on Bikaliv and getting a new house, so she planned to make it more sumptuous. The first thing to deal with is a screaming duck bought from the supermarket. This duck is also a mutated interstellar beast, but like the Gilu beast, it is only level 1, so it can be safely eaten as an ingredient. Wen Jiu wanted to use this screaming duck to make a dry pot duck, so she first cut the whole duck into small pieces with a kitchen knife, and then poured it into a basin, and began to wash it with water. After washing it, she put in soy sauce, dark soy sauce and other seasonings, as well as onions, ginger, garlic, star anise, bay leaves, dried chili peppers, etc. to marinate. Then she quickly dealt with the rest of the meat and marinated them in different categories. In the gap, she also rubbed a lot of glutinous rice balls with glutinous rice flour and put them aside, intending to make desserts later. Wen Jiu planned to make 5 dishes and 1 soup, and finally serve a dessert to fill their stomachs. The first thing to do is naturally the cold dish of garlic pork. She mixed several kinds of chili powder at the bottom of the bowl. These are all chili powders that she compared and felt that they were the most fragrant and spicy when combined. Then Wen Jiu started to heat the oil and poured all the spices such as star anise, bay leaves, and peppercorns into it. The aroma of the spices was instantly stimulated as soon as it touched the hot oil. Estimating that the frying time was almost up, Wen Jiu added some crushed peanuts and white sesame seeds to the chili powder, and then picked up the oil pan and poured the fried hot oil into the bowl. As soon as the boiling hot oil touched the chili powder at the bottom of the bowl, a crackling sound instantly emerged, followed by bursts of strong fragrance mixed with the chili powder. After the cooked chili oil was prepared, Wen Jiu pressed the piece of black mountain pork that had been cooked and cooled long ago on the chopping board, and the kitchen knife cut the meat into thin slices with a few clangs. After cutting, she grabbed a handful of blanched bean sprouts as the bottom, and then placed the meat slices in a circle on the plate. Then Wen Jiu used a garlic press to make half a bowl of garlic paste. She scooped a few spoonfuls of cooked chili oil that had not yet cooled down, and then added a little chicken essence, salt and aged vinegar, stirred it evenly, and then poured the bowl of seasoning on the meat slices. The bright red oil poured on the white meat slices, outlining an attractive picture. Zikingayu, come and serve the dishes. Wen Jiu shouted outside, and saw Zikingayu running in happily. She grabbed a handful of chopped green onions, and sprinkled them on the top for garnish, and then asked the other party to take the garlic paste away. After Zikingayu left, Wen Jiu started to make dry pot duck again, and asked Kyoshi to help her get some more garlic paste. When she was flipping the pan to fry the dry pot duck, Zikingayu returned to the kitchen to help. Fortunately, the kitchen is large enough, and it doesn't seem cramped for 3 people to be in it at the same time. With the help of Zikingayu and Kyoshi, Wen Jiu's cooking speed became faster. After a while, she successfully prepared 5 dishes and a soup. It's time to eat. It's time to eat. Today's third update. The little angels who follow the update should go to bed early after reading it. It's almost the end of the year. I wish the little angels who work have a smooth career. I wish the little angels who study can learn everything. I wish all the little angels good health and happiness every day. 030. Chapter 208. Going to the new house for dinner 3. A variety of exquisite and delicious meals were placed on the table. Uruman smiled and poured a glass of peach juice for everyone. She bought this peach juice while shopping in the supermarket, just thinking that it would be good to drink some drinks during lunch. But it was obvious that no one had the mind to drink drinks, because the seaweed shrimp ball soup made by Wen Jiu was very tempting at first glance, and it smelled hot and fresh. In addition to the seaweed shrimp ball soup, she also made 5 dishes with both meat and vegetables. Come on, cheers. Although everyone's face was written with the words want to eat, Uruman still arranged for them to drink a glass of peach juice together. This peach juice was refrigerated in the refrigerator. When you drink it, it is not as sweet as at room temperature. The peach fragrance is cool after being chilled, which is very appetizing. Let me see if this duck is delicious. Zikingayu set her eyes on this dry pot duck since she entered the kitchen. A large plate of duck meat was fried into a sauce color, mixed with dried chili peppers and spices, and sprinkled with white sesame seeds as embellishment. He picked up a piece of duck meat and stuffed it into his mouth. The meat was plump but not greasy. The skin tasted particularly crispy after being fried briefly, and the lean meat inside was not dry or woody and had an oily aroma. The flavors of chili and spices were perfectly integrated into the duck meat. Every strand of duck meat was full of spicy flavor, and it also stimulated the freshness of the duck meat itself. Then dip the duck meat into the soup, and you can taste the full aroma of stew when you put it into your mouth. Like Zikingayu, Kyoshi also aimed at her target early. She has always liked to eat seafood and river food, so when she saw Wen Jiu preparing the jade snowfish in the kitchen, her whole heart flew to the jade snowfish. The jade snowfish has fewer bones and more meat, and the meat is fatter than the multi-spin fish, which is especially suitable for braised. But it was the first time for Kyoshi to taste the taste of braised jade snowfish. She carefully picked up a piece of fish belly meat, fearing that she would overly destroy the shape of the fish. After all, the plate of snowfish was beautifully presented, with a reddish brown fish covered in sauce and a little green onion mixed in. Although the taste of snowfish itself is very delicious, it will have a fishy smell if it is not handled well. Kyoshi ate the fish with rice and was instantly amazed and squinted her eyes. Not only did the fish have no fishy smell, but it was also particularly delicious and fragrant. The slightly burnt skin wrapped the snow white fish meat, which tasted tender, smooth, refreshing and a little spicy. But this spiciness did not cover up the deliciousness of the snowfish itself, but only made her feel that her lips and teeth were full of the freshness and mellowness of the fish meat. She couldn't help but reveal a happy smile, feeling like she was floating in the lake. Every dish is so tempting. Uruman hesitated to pick up her chopsticks. She was struggling with which dish to eat first. After thinking for a while, she stretched out her chopsticks to the garlic pork. Wen Jiu sliced the pork belly thinly, and Uruman gently put some bean sprouts on it. The soft and delicious pork belly was dipped in the fragrant chili oil, and the spicy and salty flavor was very impactful. the chili seeds and white sesame seeds that burst when chewing mixed together, adding a bit of strong spiciness and fragrance. The bean sprouts were blanched in hot water without any astringency. They were particularly crisp and tender when mixed with the meat, and the faint fragrance was perfectly integrated with the strong spicy taste of the chili oil. Then she tried 2 other vegetarian dishes, and the garlic fried cabbage was her favorite. The cabbage leaves were bright green, and the stems below were white and tender like jade. A bite of the plump and juicy stems was crisp and sweet. The smooth and refreshing leaves are wrapped with a small amount of garlic paste. The light garlic aroma and the sweet and tender cabbage make you rumen feel like she has turned into a rabbit. It is rare for her to like a vegetarian dish so much. In fact, another sweet and sour cabbage is not bad. Wen Jiu uses a whole cabbage cut into small pieces and stir-fried. The stir-fried cabbage becomes soft and fluffy, and it can be melted with just a sip. Paired with Wen Jiu's special sweet and sour sauce, it is sour and sweet and delicious, especially with rice. Just with the soup and rice, you can eat a full bowl. Wow, how can the soup be so delicious? Zikingayu just served herself a bowl of seaweed shrimp ball soup. Not to mention the fresh and rich soup. The shrimp balls in it are smooth and chewy and delicious. These shrimp balls are made by Wen Jiu. After peeling the shrimp meat and removing the shrimp thread by hand, beating them into mud with the back of a knife, adding egg white and various seasonings to mix well, and finally hand kneading them into elastic shrimp balls. The shrimp balls are already very delicious, and the fresh fragrance of seaweed makes them even more delicious. Just one sip is enough to whet your appetite. What should I do? I suddenly feel so sad. Zikingayu drank a few sips of soup and continued. There are still 10 days before the holiday, which means I have to go back and rely on nutrient solution to survive. You don't have to worry about this. Wen Jiu glanced at him. If nothing unexpected happens, I will open a store in the East Lake Scenic area to sell snacks during the holidays. Really? Zikingayu felt like he was alive in an instant. Then can I get a discount for my meal? If you are greedy, you can come to the store to eat. Since you are my friend, I will only charge you twice the meal price. After Wen Jiu said this, Kaioshishi and Yuruman laughed. Only Zikingayu had a slumped face, with a look of grievance in his eyes. But he quickly recovered his composure and said, Sister Jiu, you must be short of waiters for the opening of your new store, right? Look at me. There shouldn't be a shortage. There are robots in the kitchen of that store. Wen Jiu supported his chin with one hand and recalled what he saw when he browsed the rental interface. Then we must be short of waiters to serve the dishes. Zikingayu shook his head leisurely, as if he was determined to get the waiter position. And I'm a skilled helper now. Not only can I help you serve the dishes, but I can also help you prepare the ingredients in advance. Who would have thought that he, the young master of the Z family, would actually show off himself here like crazy just to be a waiter? Then I want to be a waiter too. Kaioshishi followed up unwillingly. I'm quite skilled at checking out and calculating money. Hearing this, Zikingayu stuck out a tongue at her. Who needs you to check out? Just buy a self-service cashier robot, or make a Starnet ordering app to place orders and check out. Then you don't need to help serve the food. Is there anything that can't be solved by buying a robot? Kaioshishi glared at him, clenching the chopsticks in her hand, as if she was going to beat someone up. Seeing that the two were about to start bickering like elementary school students again, Wen Jiu quickly said, okay, if you want to come to work, come together. But let me make it clear first, you are all voluntarily rushing to work, so as for the salary, whatever you want. Kaioshishi and Zikingayu spoke at the same time, and after realizing that they had said the same thing to each other, they turned their heads away and sulked at the same time. Seeing this scene, Yuruman really couldn't help laughing, and Wen Jiu also followed her and chuckled with pursed lips. Today's first update. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. Chapter 209. First meeting with Leo Chu 1. After lunch, Yuruman took Zikingayu and Kaioshishi to take the initiative to clean up and wash dishes. Wen Jiu was left alone in the living room to study the cleaning robot that had already turned on the energy. The robot was about 1 meter tall, white and round in shape, and looked a bit like the big white in the animated movie she had seen before. She glanced at the instruction manual on the coffee table and followed the steps to press the red button on the back of the robot. A light curtain popped up instantly, and then she debugged the various settings of the robot on the light curtain for a while. When she pressed the red button again to close the light curtain, the black beads on the robot's face that were used as eyes immediately turned light blue, which also meant that the robot was successfully started. Big White welcomes the master home cleanup. Wen Jiu named this robot Big White. After the mechanical voice fell, Big White began to move in the living room. It took out a small towel and a dust brush from the storage space at its waist and slowly cleaned the fine dust on the table. "Ah, we are done." Kyoshi was the first to come out of the kitchen and collapsed on the sofa. Sure enough, people get sleepy when they're full. Zikingayu followed her, looking sleepy. Uruman then came over, and she looked at Wen Jiu and asked, "Wen Jiu, when are you leaving for the hospital?" "Rest for half an hour." Wen Jiu thought for a while. Kyoshi and Zikingayu next to him thought that Wen Jiu was going to the hospital for a follow-up examination, so they didn't ask any more questions. In addition to working, the two of them have been studying and practicing hard during this period, and it's rare for them to have time to rest. So they didn't lie on the sofa for long before they fell asleep. Uruman sat on a chair and handled her work, and only when Jiu returned to the kitchen silently, she found a small pot and poured a whole box of buffalo milk and half a box of coconut milk into it. Then she lit the fire and placed the small pot on it to cook. When the milk in the pot began to boil, she took out the glutinous rice balls she had kneaded earlier from the refrigerator. The snow white balls blended perfectly into the white milk as soon as they were put into the pot. When Jiu turned off the flame only after all the glutinous rice balls floated on the surface. She scooped 4 bowls full of these milk dumplings and sprinkled a little dried osmanthus on them. When Jiu originally wanted to make osmanthus wine dumplings, but considering that Uruman would have to drive a flying car later, she changed to milk dumplings. It smells so good. Zikingayu was sleeping soundly, and suddenly he felt that he smelled a milky fragrance in his sleep, and then woke up in a daze. He woke up and made a lot of noise, which pulled Kyoshi from her sleep on the other side. "Well, what delicious food are you making?" Kyoshi rubbed her eyes and saw 2 bowls of steaming dumplings on the dining table. Uruman and Wen Jiu had already started to enjoy it. Seeing that the two of them woke up from their deep sleep, they called them to come and eat the dumplings. The rich coconut milk and light buffalo milk blend perfectly, with the coconut fragrance carrying a rich milk fragrance. With the soft and delicate small glutinous rice balls, you can only feel the milk fragrance in your mouth when you eat it, and it has a fresh, sweet and smooth texture. Why are these glutinous rice balls so delicious? Zikingayu directly picked up the bowl and drank a sip of milk, and this milk is also delicious, rich and sweet with a coconut fragrance. The key is that it doesn't taste greasy at all. Kyoshi added appropriately. She usually likes desserts, but every few bites she feels too sweet and greasy. It's just that eating the desserts made by Wen Jiu makes her unable to stop, and she wants another one after eating one. It's a pity that they ate too much at noon, so Wen Jiu only made these 4 bowls of milk glutinous rice balls, and didn't prepare more. Then they rested in the living room for a while before the 4 of them left Donghu Garden. Uruman sent Wen Jiu to the door of 3047 Hospital, and then took the remaining 2 back to 3047 College. The old Chu you asked me about last time is in Ward 802. Zhu Wangming happened to be handling work on the 1st floor, and he saw Wen Jiu wrapped in a thick cotton coat. The cotton coat on Wen Jiu was bought by Uruman. Perhaps considering that it would be inconvenient for her to wear school uniforms after the holidays, Uruman bought her several sets of clothes and sent them to the dormitory. I don't know how Uruman found out that she was afraid of the cold, and all the clothes she sent were thick and velvety. "Well, thank you, Dr. Zhu." When Wen Jiu nodded, the little ball of fur on her hat also shook. According to the information provided by Sister Chen, the surname is Chu, and she is over 60 years old. In recent years, she has often come to the 3047 hospital for medical treatment in the medical cabin, and she has no other relatives, except a grandson who is on the run. After Zhu Wangming looked through the information, he successfully helped her find the owner, Old Chu, who is now Chu Chuan's hung in the 802 ward. Old Chu, someone is here to visit you. As the nurse's voice sounded, Wen Jiu followed Zhu Wangming into the ward. The incandescent lamp inside made the room very bright. 6 beds were evenly placed on the left and right sides. Although the environment was a bit simple, it was very clean and tidy. Chu Chuan's hung half sat up and leaned on the pillow. He half squinted his eyes and seemed to be taking a nap. Seeing this, Wen Jiu deliberately lowered the sound of his footsteps. But what surprised her was that Chu Chuan's hung was only over 60 years old, but he looked like an old man in his 80s. The other person's hair was grey and there was a little baldness. His face was dull and full of wrinkles and age spots. There was also a faint dead air like rotten wood lingering around him. Old Chu has suffered from many diseases since his grandson left. Zhu Wangming seemed to see Wen Jiu's doubts. Although he has been to the hospital several times, his main problem is mental illness. Even if there is a medical cabin to cure the disease, he has lost the desire to live in his heart. He is depressed, and his illness is getting worse. Wen Jiu just observed Chu Chuan's hung quietly. Although there was a hint of death on him, there was still a green color representing vitality hovering above his head. She was about to ask Zhu Wangming again when she heard the nurse who brought them in before say, "Old Chu, our Dr. Zhu is here to check on him." Hearing this, Chu Chuan's hung slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were very cloudy, and even with his eyes open, he gave people the feeling that he would fall asleep at any time. "Good afternoon, Dr. Zhu." He spoke very slowly, as if he had to spend a lot of effort to say every word. Even though it was so difficult, he tried to curl the corners of his lips to show a smile. "Good afternoon, Lao Chu." Zhu Wangming asked him a few questions about his health as usual, and then turned to the main topic. "This is my friend's daughter Wen Jiu. She is here to visit you today. The second update of the day is also delivered. Give you a heart 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210, First Meeting with Lao Chu 2. Hearing Zhu Wangming say this, Chu Chuan's hung's eyes showed some confusion. But he still maintained a friendly smile and said, "Hello, little Wen Jiu. Thank you for visiting me, an old man." "Hello, Grandpa Chu." Wen Jiu looked at the dying old man and responded with his most innocent and lovely smile. After saying hello, Wen Jiu placed the flowers and fruits she brought on the cabinet beside the bed. In addition to expressing her visit, she then chatted with Chu Chuan's hung for a long time, making the old man who had lost his relative smile. Alas, Yanzi was as smart and cute as you. When he was a child, Chu Chuan's hung seemed to think of his grandson. No matter who he chatted with, he could make the other person laugh. And he is different from other children. He takes the initiative to help in the store every day and never does those naughty things. As he spoke, some tears overflowed from the corners of Chu Chuan's hung's eyes. Wen Jiu handed him a tissue at the right time, which made Chu Chuan's hung's nose sore and tears fell directly. "Little Wen Jiu, you must listen to your mother. Tell her about any difficulties and unhappiness. Don't be like Yanzi, saying nothing." In recent years, whenever Chu Chuan's hung thought of his grandson who had no news, he regretted that he didn't care about him more and comfort him more. So what if he didn't go to school or get good grades, as long as his grandson lived happily and freely? Wen Jiu didn't know much about Chu Chuan's hung's grandson. She only understood a little from the few words between Sister Chen and Chu Chuan's hung. It was probably that little Chu made a mistake and killed someone, then fled for fear of the crime, and his whereabouts are still unknown. So now seeing Chu Chuan's hung sad, she could only silently hand him a tissue and comfort him silently. Zhu Wangming next to him had a calm face, and it was not obvious that he had any emotional fluctuations. "Oh, old Chu, don't think about these sad things." The enthusiastic nurse was quite talkative. "Look, now you have little Wen Jiu to chat with you. Let her come and accompany you often in the future. This illness will definitely heal quickly." After listening to the nurse and Chu Chuan's Han chatting for a while, Zhu Wangming took the initiative to mention the second purpose of Wen Jiu's visit. "Oh, your mother wants to rent my storefront." Chu Chuan's Han was in a much better mood at this time, and his tone was also more relaxed. "Of course, we can sign the contract when your mother comes. But I have a request. My grandson's room on the second floor cannot be moved. Your mother can renovate other places if she wants." Chu Chuan's Han's request was not excessive. He was just worried that, if his grandson came back one day, he would not even have a place to stay. No matter what others said, he always believed that his grandson had his own difficulties. "Don't worry, Grandpa Chu, we won't touch the decoration for now, and I can promise that I won't touch little Chu's room on the second floor. Just lock it and don't worry." Every word of Wen Jiu touched Chu Chuan's Han's heart, and then she continued, "And this storefront will be run by me after it is rented, and my mother will mainly help me with the formalities." She didn't want to deceive this poor old man, who had no relatives, and was seriously ill, so she told the truth. Upon hearing this, Chu Chuan's Han's face became a little nervous. He turned his head and looked at Wen Jiu seriously again. The other party was just a girl in her teens. How could she run a store well? If he rented the store to her, wouldn't her mother lose money in vain? That won't do. Chu Chuan's Han suddenly became serious. "You are just a little kid. The important thing now is to study hard." Wen Jiu said slowly, "Grandpa Chu, I have 10 days before my holiday. I'm running the store during the holiday, which will not affect my studies." "No." Chu Chuan's Han looked as if he didn't believe Wen Jiu. "Let's not talk about studying for the time being. How old are you? And you can't even hold an iron pot. How can you do business well?" After all, Wen Jiu said that she would not change the decoration and furnishings of the store for the time being, so Chu Chuan's Han could guess that she was going to do the catering business. Zhu Wangming wanted to help say a few words, but although he knew that Wen Jiu was going to open a restaurant, he didn't know how good the other party's cooking skills were. So he could only say dryly, "Old Chu, I can guarantee for little Wen Jiu. You rent the storefront to her, and she will definitely make the business prosperous." "No, no." Chu Chuan's Han closed his eyes and shook his head, looking unwilling to listen. Seeing this, Zhu Wangming had to look at Wen Jiu, wondering if there was any other way she could convince Chu Chuan's Han. However, Wen Jiu stood up and bowed respectfully. "Grandpa Chu, since you want to rest, I will come to see you again in the evening." After saying this, Wen Jiu walked out of the ward. After she left, Zhu Wangming naturally couldn't stay and say anything. So he just said, "I will ask Xiaoli to come and check you later." Xiaoli is leaving. After Zhu Wangming and Nursely left one after another, Chu Chuan's Han opened his eyes and sighed deeply. He looked at the dead tree outside the window with a dazed look. "Wen Jiu, I think old Chu is not willing to rent the storefront to you." Zhu Wangming was a little puzzled by Wen Jiu's frankness. "Just say that it is your mother Yu who wants to rent it. There is no need to reveal so much. Besides, old Chu is short of money right now. If you say it is mother Yu who wants to rent it, he will definitely nod in agreement." Wen Jiu raised his head and glared at him. "My sister Yu is not old. Stop calling me mother Yu." She could hear the joking in the other person's words, and then she continued, "I just feel sorry for old Chu, and don't want to deceive him about this kind of thing." After saying this, the corners of Zhu Wangming's lips, which had been raised, slowly fell down, and he looked a bit cold and abstinent. But he soon returned to his gentle smile. "Our little Wen Jiu is really kind. So how do you plan to convince him to rent the storefront to you?" "I have my own way." Wen Jiu smiled confidently. "If there is nothing else, I will leave first, and I will come to see you later." After she finished speaking, she also added, "Old Zhu, I suggest you don't go out to eat at night, and I will bring you something good when I come over." "Okay." Zhu Wangming smiled more and more. "Then I will prepare your nutrient solution as usual and send it to you at school. But you are about to go on vacation, so I will send you a week's supply first. The rest will be sent to your home when you come for a checkup after the vacation." He learned from Yu Ruman that Wen Jiu bought a new house, and he only sighed silently. This child is too good at making money. Okay. Wen Jiu nodded and walked towards the elevator. Originally, she was going to do a recheck today and adjust the formula of the nutrient solution, but after Zhu Wangming briefly asked her about her situation, he just said to continue using the previous formula and wait until the holiday to do a comprehensive recheck and readjust the nutrient solution. So after arriving on the first floor, Wen Jiu said goodbye to Zhu Wangming and took the floating bus to the supermarket. The last update of today. I hope the little angels like it. Muaro. Oh. Chapter 211 Delicious Mutton Soup 1. Wen Jiu thought she had bought enough things when she went to the supermarket in the morning, but when she was tidying up at home, she found that she was still missing a lot of daily necessities. For example, furry slippers are essential for cold weather, and there are warm and soft plush pajamas. Wen Jiu walked to the shelf and looked around. She picked up a pair of furry slippers from the shelf she could reach, folded them inward twice, and touched the fur inside and outside. The soles were quite soft and the fur inside and outside felt very comfortable. Wen Jiu was very satisfied with it, but she looked at the price on the shelf again. 199 star coins a pair. This price made her silently put the slippers in her hand back on the shelf. She squatted down and looked at the shelves at the bottom. Then she picked out 2 pairs of furry slippers with the right hardness and soft fur. One pair only cost 69 star coins, and the second pair was half price. Then she ran to the place where pajama sets were sold and bought herself 2 sets of plush pajamas and some clothes to change. Then she went to the fruit and vegetable area and the meat area, slowly selecting the ingredients for the evening. Wen Jiu originally wanted to cook a pot of chicken soup for Chu Chuan's hung to nourish his body, but she found fresh black-tailed sheep that had just been put on the shelf at the meat shop. It looked bright red and fat and thin, especially suitable for stewing a pot of mutton soup in this cold weather. So she weighed a few pounds of black-tailed sheep leg meat, plus a large leg bone and a few spiny fish. Then Wen Jiu went to the fruit and vegetable area to buy some pea sprouts and white radish. Thinking that there was still a lot of glutinous rice flour left at home, she pushed the cart around the fruit shelf and finally chose 2 boxes of strawberries that were on sale. After self-service checkout, Wen Jiu walked towards the floating bus station with her bag. We are about to arrive at C31 Street, Donghu District. Passengers, please take your personal belongings and prepare to get off. Wen Jiu picked up her bag and got off the bus. The warm sunlight shone lazily on her, pulling a long shadow on the ground. The floating bus station is very close to the gate of Donghu Garden. She walked for only a few minutes before entering the gate of the garden. Because the house purchase procedures are now handled very quickly, and the houses sold in Donghu Garden are all well decorated. After the first batch of boutique houses were sold out, those who bought houses moved in one after another. Wen Jiu was somewhat glad that she bought the house immediately. The second batch of boutique houses in Donghu Garden had a small increase in prices, and only the last few were sold as soon as they were launched yesterday. Ding dong. After a short wait of 1 minute, Wen Jiu finally waited for the elevator. Oh, little girl, what a coincidence. She looked up when she heard the voice. A middle-aged aunt with curly hair was standing in the elevator, and there was a young woman in professional clothes next to her. Hello, Aunt Chen. Wen Jiu entered the elevator with her bag in her hand, but she really didn't expect to meet Sister Chen here. Oh, you and your mother live here too? Sister Chen started chatting happily. Are you going to the 9th floor too? What a coincidence. I'm here to check the house today. If there's no problem, we'll be neighbors in the future. Wen Jiu only responded politely. When the elevator door opened, after reaching the 9th floor, Sister Chen followed her closely with great curiosity. Oh, is your house number 902? Sister Chen glanced at the house number. I'm planning to buy number 901. What a coincidence. It must be said that Sister Chen talked too much. Wen Jiu stood at the door and chatted with her for a long time. In the end, the sales lady couldn't wait any longer and took Sister Chen away. After Wen Jiu saw the 2 of them enter number 901 to look at the house, she unlocked her door and went in. After chatting for a while, she learned from Sister Chen that the other party bought the house to prepare for her son to marry a wife. However, the money was paid by her son himself, and the house was picked by his wife on star.com. The main reason was that the young couple was too busy with work, so they bothered her to come and check the house first. Her son would come over later to pay and handle the formalities. It seemed that she would inevitably meet Sister Chen here in the future, but she would talk about the future later. Wen Jiu took out the daily necessities in her pocket first. She put the 2 pairs of furry slippers she had carefully selected into her shoes and took out her pajamas and clothes to put into the washing machine. After tidying up for a long time, she slowly walked into the kitchen and started to prepare the ingredients. Wen Jiu first put the black-tailed sheep's leg meat and leg bones into the basin. The mutton smell was really unpleasant if it was not handled properly. Just when she took it out, a faint mutton smell filled the air. She felt like vomiting after smelling it a few more times. Fortunately, Wen Jiu processed it very quickly. She first quickly washed the mutton and leg bones several times, then put them into the basin and poured some clean water, and finally sprinkled some pepper and ginger slices in. While soaking to remove the smell and blood, Wen Jiu picked up a kitchen knife and cut open the spiny fish, removed the internal organs, and scraped off the scales. She was very skilled in handling ingredients. After finishing the meat, she quickly peeled and shredded the white radish next to her, and then pinched the stems and leaves of the pea seedlings in the basin to leave the most tender part. Every winter, the eldest brother would stew a large pot of mutton soup to warm up the bodies of all their disciples, and everyone would add pea seedlings to it every time, which tasted fresh, sweet, crisp and tender, and was especially loved by everyone. So Wen Jiu habitually bought a large handful of pea seedlings, but the people she was familiar with before were no longer around her. But even in a different world, she lived a good life and worked hard to make money, and she also gained new good friends and people who cared about her. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu felt much better. The method of making mutton soup is not difficult. She took out the soaked mutton from the basin and poured it into the pot, then added cooking wine, ginger, scallion, green pepper, etc. Boiled it over high heat and skimmed off the foam. Then put the blanched mutton into another large pot, added mutton bones and spiny fish, and simmered it over low heat. It takes a long time to boil mutton soup, so Wen Jiu took out a bag of flour and started to knead the dough to make beiji steamed buns. Mutton soup is naturally indispensable for steamed buns. She likes to tear open beiji steamed buns and soak them in the soup. The broken steamed buns soaked in soup are simply delicious. When Wen Jiu used a frying pan to fry a bunch of beiji steamed buns, there was still more than an hour before the mutton soup was ready. So she took out 2 boxes of strawberries she bought at the supermarket and half a bag of glutinous rice flour left over from the refrigerator. She planned to make a dessert and bring it back to the college in the evening so that Uruman and Kaioshishi could taste it. The afternoon passed slowly like this, and it was not until about 6 o'clock in the evening that Wen Jiu turned off the fire and opened the lid of the pot. White mist instantly rose up, bringing with it a rich and fragrant aroma. Today's first update: winter solstice has just passed. Did everyone eat according to custom? Hehe. The custom of the winter solstice here is to eat mutton soup. 030. Chapter 212. Delicious mutton soup 2. Old Chu, Dr. Zhu and Wen Jiu are here to see you again. Nurse Li gently opened the door and led Zhu Wangming and Wen Jiu into the ward. On the way here, they heard from Nurse Li that Chu Chuan's Hang refused to eat again tonight and couldn't even drink the nutrient solution. According to convention, such patients would be arranged to take insufficient nutrition in the form of infusion. But Wen Jiu told Zhu Wangming that he didn't need to rush to give Chu Chuan's Hang an infusion and see if he wanted to eat the food she brought. So after entering the room, she walked to Chu Chuan's Hang's bed with a thermos bucket and said with a smile, "Grandpa Chu, I'm here to see you again. I heard that you haven't had a good appetite recently, so I specially made a pot of mutton soup and brought it here. Would you like to try it?" Hearing Wen Jiu's words, Chu Chuan's Hang just sighed and wanted to say that he really had no appetite. But the other party suddenly opened the lid of the thermos bucket, and a strong and fresh fragrance instantly wafted away. The smell floated to the tip of Chu Chuan's Hang's nose, tempting him to swallow his saliva. Zhu Wangming and Nurse Xiaoli beside him also stared at the thermos bucket infatuatedly, as if they were looking at some rare treasure. Wen Jiu brought her own bowl, chopsticks, and spoon. She first used the spoon to scoop out a bowl of mutton soup and handed it to Chu Chuan-Tang. This soup. Chu Chuan-Tang stared blankly at the mutton soup in front of him. The milky hot soup was soaking light grey mutton, and there were emerald green pea sprouts sticking out, and the fragrance of chopped green onions was mixed with the hot steam. He didn't know what to say for a moment. Just looking at this bowl of soup made him dazed. Grandpa Chu, do you want to try it? Wen Jiu handed the bowl and chopsticks forward again. I stewed it for a whole afternoon. The mutton is also fresh black-tailed sheep. Chu Chuan-Tang moved forward and took the bowl and chopsticks with trembling hands. The moment his wrinkled hands, like dry bones, touched the warm bowl wall, waves of warmth came along the bowl wall, and he couldn't help but take the bowl and chopsticks steadily. Chu Chuan-Tang carefully brought the bowl to his lips and took a sip. There were still a few red dates and wolfberries floating in the milky white mutton soup. The soup was warm and had a strong fresh fragrance. After taking a sip of the hot soup, the heat surged to his body layer by layer, and tears suddenly welled up in his eyes. The freshness of the spiny fish and the meaty aroma of the mutton itself blended perfectly, and the milky white soup was full of the ultimate strong fragrance that could not be dissolved. The delicious soup spread between the lips and teeth, and the taste was richer than a single fish soup or mutton soup. Did you really make this soup yourself? Chu Chuan-Tang smacked his lips while savoring it, with an expression of disbelief on his face. I made it myself. Wen Jiu carefully handed him a tissue, using the leg meat and leg bones of the black-tailed sheep, and slowly boiled the spiny fish. She explained the ingredients and steps in detail, and Chu Chuan-Tang, Zhu Wangming and Nurse Li were all stunned. Zhu Wangming had never thought that this mutton soup was really made by Wen Jiu himself. He was wondering if Yu Ruman had helped to buy it from somewhere to make up the number. Nurse Li next to him was just surprised that such a young girl had actually started to learn to cook, and she was so good at it. Only Chu Chuan-Tang understood the tricks. He had never heard of such a mutton soup recipe, and when Wen Jiu talked about the cooking steps and his understanding of the ingredients, he looked completely experienced. So he could understand from Wen Jiu's words alone that this mutton soup should really be made by the other party himself. Ah. Chu Chuan-Tang picked up a piece of mutton with chopsticks. It was so soft that he didn't need to chew too much. The milky soup was embedded in the fine lines of the mutton and was rolled between his teeth along with the tender and delicious mutton. Little Wen Jiu, is the thermos you put in my office filled with mutton soup? Zhu Wangming leaned over to Wen Jiu and asked in a low voice, I have helped you a lot. It's not too much to give me a bowl of soup. Don't worry, old Zhu. Wen Jiu smiled with the corners of his lips curled. Not only mutton soup, I also brought you dipping sauce. Chu Chuan-Tang drank up the mutton soup in the bowl mouthful by mouthful, and also ate up all the mutton, white radish and pea tips in the bowl. How is it, Grandpa Chu? Wen Jiu took the empty bowl very naturally and handed it back with a small amount of mutton soup. She could see that Chu Chuan-Tang had a bad stomach for a long time, and he had been depressed for such a long time, so his appetite had decreased a lot. Therefore, it was safest to stew soup for him to drink, but he hadn't had a full meal for a long time, so Wen Jiu deliberately controlled his food intake to prevent him from eating too much at one time and having difficulty digesting it. But, Chu Chuan-Tang's face turned rosy after drinking the mutton soup. This soup is really good. He sipped the soup again with satisfaction, savoring the slightly hot soup carefully, and the delicious soup constantly stimulated his appetite. It must be said that this mutton soup is the most delicious soup he has ever had in his life. Even though he has been a chef for many years, he can't find any faults. If this mutton soup is really made by the little girl in front of him, then it is not a problem for him to rent the storefront to her. He even thinks that Wen Jiu's renting his storefront is simply adding brilliance to his storefront. Child, Grandpa asks you again. Chu Chuan-Tang stared at Wen Jiu with his turbid eyes. Did you really make this soup yourself? I really made it myself. Wen Jiu blinked and continued, Grandpa Chu, if you are worried, you can come to the store anytime after you recover. I can make more than just this mutton soup. Just trust me. Wen Jiu's face was full of confidence, and her tone of voice was also very firm. Okay, Chu Chuan Tang finally smiled with relief. When will your mother come? When she comes, we will sign the contract. He had already asked a lawyer to draft the storefront rental contract, so he could sign it at any time and go through the Star Network to handle the formalities. My mother will be here later. Wen Jiu paused before finishing his words. Although Yu Ruman is now her nominal mother, she still feels uncomfortable when she really calls her mother. Wen Jiu then chatted with Chu Chuan Tang for a while, and then was taken away by Zhu Wangming, who had been impatient for a long time, with an excuse. Let's go. Zhu Wangming rarely showed an anxious look. Did you really send me mutton soup? Why would I lie to you? Wen Jiu glanced at him speechlessly. I won't get any benefit from lying to you. Let's go quickly, old Zhu. Zhu Wangming didn't care about Wen Jiu's address to him at this time. He was only thinking about the thermos bucket in his office and wanted to go back quickly to open it and smell the fragrance of the mutton soup. Today's second update. I hope the little angels can vote. Thank you everyone. 030. Chapter 213 Delicious Mutton Soup 3. As soon as he returned to the office, Zhu Wangming could not wait to open the lid of the thermos. Just as Wen Jiu said, it was filled with a bucket of steaming mutton soup. TSK, TSK, TSK. Zhu Wangming took off his gold-rimmed glasses, and the rising heat covered his lenses with a layer of mist. He did not let Wen Jiu do it, and went to serve 2 bowls of soup himself. This is the dipping sauce. It tastes spicy. If you can't stand spicy, don't dip it. Wen Jiu took out a few small boxes from the pocket beside her, which contained the spicy sauce she had prepared. When he heard her say this, Zhu Wangming immediately picked up a small box and opened it in front of him, and the deep red spicy sauce lay quietly inside. When will your mother come over? He scooped a spoonful of mutton soup with a spoon and drank it. The boiling soup was full of freshness and fragrance. This thermos was the one with good heat preservation function specially selected by Wen Jiu, so the mutton soup inside has always maintained the temperature just out of the pot. Zhu Wangming only felt that the tip of his tongue was burned, but the delicious taste made him unable to spit out the soup. He had to hold it in his mouth until it cooled down, and then he carefully swallowed the soup. It should be almost time. Wen Jiu glanced at the electronic clock on the wall, then scooped a spoonful of mutton soup and blew it gently. The mutton in the bowl was cut into pieces of moderate size by Wen Jiu. He picked it up and dipped it lightly in the spicy sauce, and then ate it to taste the full spicy and fresh fragrance. The mutton was soft and elastic, and there was no smell of mutton. Coupled with the taste of spicy sauce, the deliciousness of the mutton itself was 100% stimulated, and there was a hint of spiciness flowing on the tip of the tongue. The pea sprouts as a side dish were also not inferior. They were fresh, crisp, and tender and very refreshing. The sweetness of the vegetables matched the rich and delicious mutton soup, which was a different flavor. The white radish used to add a sense of taste had been cooked transparently, and it tasted soft and lightly sweet. Wen Jiu also brought a few pieces of beiji steamed buns. She handed one to Zhu Wangming and taught him to break it into pieces and soak it in a bowl. The beiji steamed buns soaked in mutton soup were sweet and fragrant. After being softened, they absorbed the soup. The soup burst into the mouth after taking a bite, which made people very satisfied. Okay, Zhu Wangming, you actually ate behind my back. Wen Jiu and Zhu Wangming were eating happily when they heard the sound of Yu Ruman's high heels. She selectively ignored the fact that Wen Jiu was also eating and only stared at Zhu Wangming and criticized him. You said you would treat me to a meal next time, but now you are secretly eating in the office. TSK, TSK, TSK. I didn't expect that the famous Dr. Zhu would also eat secretly in the office. The person being complained about just smiled and served Yu Ruman a bowl of mutton soup. Okay, your Wen Jiu is eating too. Okay. This soup is obviously made by Wen Jiu. What's wrong with her eating a few bites first? Yu Ruman muttered as she took the bowl. After taking a sip of the soup, she immediately showed a surprised expression. Although she had eaten the food made by Wen Jiu many times, he always brought her frequent surprises. It can be said that the food made by Wen Jiu is only better, not the best. Teacher Yu, Try this dipping sauce again. Wen Jiu remembered that Rumen had eaten a lot of garlic pork at noon and thought that she should like spicy food, so she handed over the small box of spicy sauce. Good. After drinking the mutton soup, Rumen was in a much better mood. She had forgotten all the unpleasant things that happened in the college in the afternoon. Now she just wanted to eat a lot. The taste of this spicy sauce is really unique. It is spicy but not uncomfortable. Instead, it gives people a refreshing feeling. The spicy and fresh taste opened Rumen's appetite as soon as it entered her mouth, and she couldn't help but drink the mutton soup in big gulps to satisfy her craving. How Rumen felt that she was sweating a little from the heat. Another bowl. Zhu Wangming also made the same sound as her. They just finished drinking the mutton soup in their bowls. Oh, there is only one bowl left. Wen Jiu looked at the remaining amount in the thermos bucket and shook his head with gloating. Little Wen Jiu, fill it up for me. Zhu Wangming took the lead in handing over the bowl. Rumen next to him ignored him at all, picked up the thermos bucket from Wen Jiu's side and poured all the remaining mutton soup into her bowl. Men, they just like to talk but not do. Rumen raised her chin proudly. You still have to fight for what you want. What's the point of sitting there and waiting for others to help you? Zhu Wangming's mouth twitched when he heard this, and he only replied, some men are still reliable, don't shoot them, thank you. Oh old Zhu, you are not talking about yourself, are you? Wen Jiu seemed to understand something and only lengthened his tone meaningfully. As soon as she said this, Zhu Wangming was choked and stopped talking instantly. Rumen next to him just chuckled. Okay, stop teasing him. Be careful that Dr. Zhu will not send you free nutrient solution next time. Hearing this, Wen Jiu was very sensible and didn't say anything else. She took the initiative to change the subject and began to talk to Rumen about Laochu's situation. Laochu is also a miserable person. Rumen had just drunk the last mouthful of soup. If you are free during the holidays, you can visit him more often, if you are willing. Yeah. Wen Jiu nodded obediently. Even if Rumen didn't mention it, she would often visit Chuchuantang during her vacation. Mainly because she felt that Chuchuantang had no relatives now. Wen Jiu still had some sympathy for him. Let's go. Rumen put on lipstick on her lips, then stood up and pulled Wen Jiu out. Zhu Wangming also put on his glasses again and followed them out of the office. Ward 802. Chuchuantang was leaning on a soft pillow and looking at the dead branches outside the window. I don't know what he was thinking. Nurse Li, who was in charge of Chuchuantang, was so greedy for the mutton soup just now that she ran to the cafeteria to fill her stomach. Ward 802 only had Chuchuantang living in it, so the ward was quiet and there was no other sound. It was not until Zhu Wangming knocked on the door a few times that Chuchuantang came back to his senses and smiled faintly. Old Chu, this is the mother of little Wen Jiu. Zhu Wangming walked in front with Rumen and took the initiative to introduce them to each other. Hello, Mr. Chu. Rumen smiled and bowed slightly to show respect. I'm the mother of little Wen Jiu. Sorry to disturb your rest. After a polite greeting, Rumen mentioned the matter of renting the storefront. Because Wen Jiu had communicated with Rumen in advance, Rumen was the one to do the communication. Chuchuantang was a straightforward person in this regard. After chatting with Rumen for a while, he immediately decided to rent the storefront to them. His only requirement was that they could not touch Xiaochu's room. This clause was also written very clearly in the contract, so when Jiu and Rumen glanced over the contract and signed their respective names. Ahem. Chuchuantang sent the signed contract to his lawyer for verification, and after verification, he could transfer the money and go through the formalities. Little Wen Jiu is a very sensible child. He pulled Rumen to chat about family matters. You must train her well and let her do more of what she likes. Rumen nodded frequently in cooperation with him, while the client Wen Jiu just smiled and said nothing. Today's third update is also delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. Chapter 214. A hot man appeared. 1. In addition to the successful leasing of the storefront, there was another thing that made Wen Jiu happy. That was that after half a day, the grey death energy on Chuchuantang's body had been reduced a little. Although Chu Chuan Han was just a stranger to her, this discovery still made Wen Jiu very happy. After all, she learned from Sister Chen and Zhu Wangming that Chu Chuan Han was always kind and honest, and often participated in some charity activities. So Wen Jiu thought about helping if she could, so she insisted on renting the storefront and making soup for the other party. Fortunately, her method worked a little, and she only hoped that she could continue to reduce the death energy on Chu Chuan Han's body. Grandpa Chu, you must do a good job of treatment. Wen Jiu showed a smile as bright as a flower. When I have a holiday, I will come to see you often. After saying this, Wen Jiu took out another plastic bag and placed it on Chu Chuan Han's bedside table. The transparent plastic bag contained a square talisman. This is a lucky charm my friend gave me. I'm giving it to you now. I hope it can bless you, Grandpa Chu, to get well soon. Chu Chuan Han couldn't help but feel a lump in his throat when he heard her say this. Okay, Grandpa, I will cooperate with the treatment. After completing all this, Wen Jiu followed Zhu Wangming and Yu Rumen and left the 802 ward. It was already past 8 o'clock in the evening. If they went back later, the gate of the college would be closed. So Yu Rumen picked up the thermos bucket and took Wen Jiu away from the 3047 hospital. Fortunately, she drove a hovercraft and drove all the way there at high speed. She just sent Wen Jiu back before the college closed. Goodbye, Teacher Yu. Wen Jiu took out a box of snow meringue from his pocket and handed it to Yu Rumen, and then got out of the car with 2 thermos buckets and a big bag. Mainly because Yu Rumen lived outside the college, Wen Jiu had to carry these things back to the dormitory by himself. At this time, most students were practicing in the training ground, and Kao Shishi and Zikingai were no exception. So when Wen Jiu returned to the dormitory, there was only an empty room waiting for her. She packed up her things briefly and put the remaining box of snow meringue on Kao Shishi's bedside table. After washing up in the bathroom, Wen Jiu lay back on the bed and entered the Star Network world. Brother Lu, it's over there. Mingyu held a bag of freshly bought strawberries in his hand. It was said that the vendor grew them himself without adding anything, so they tasted fresh. He and Lu Yan took on another mission in the Star Network world, but this mission was very simple, just needing to collect some intelligence. So Mingyu, with the mentality of being here, planned to sneak away to Sun Badao to buy another talisman for himself. But before he found a chance to sneak away, Lu Yan noticed his idea. So Mingyu could only tell him frankly with a shameless face. Fortunately, Lu Yan did not punish him for his intention to sneak away, and even asked him to take him to find Sun Badao after completing the mission. Brother Lu, by the way, are you looking for Master Sun to buy a talisman or fortune telling? Mingyu really couldn't suppress his curiosity. He didn't expect Lu Yan to also want to find Sun Badao. Lu Yan just glanced at him coldly without giving any response. Fortunately, Mingyu had long been accustomed to his silence. He just smiled and continued to eat the strawberries he bought. At first, when he was not familiar with Lu Yan, Mingyu was worried that he didn't like him, so he kept silent. But after a few missions, he knew that Lu Yan was simply not fond of chatting. Even when the teacher asked him to discuss the mission, Lu Yan was cold and would never answer with 2 words instead of 1 word. Wow, Master Sun has more customers again. Mingyu saw a long line in front of Sun Badao's stall from a distance. This long line made him lose his mind instantly, and he grabbed Lu Yan's sleeve and ran to the end of the line. There are so many people here today, I don't know if it will be our turn. Mingyu ate strawberries while looking around. Brother Lu, I'm telling you, Master Sun is really effective. Do you remember the amulet I gave you last time? Later, when I went back to take care of my housework, the amulet saved my life. And the mosquito and insect repellent amulet sold by Master Sun is also very effective. Some time ago, I went to the wild with others to do a mission. There were so many insects in the dense forest. Fortunately, I had the mosquito and insect repellent amulet on me, so I didn't need those smelly insect repellent waters at all. When the insects saw me, I took a detour. Mingyu has a characteristic that, even if others ignore him, he can still talk for a long time. Maybe because he said too much, Lu Yan rarely responded with a few hums. Brother Lu, I'm serious, why don't you also tell me a fortune, or buy 2 amulets to try? Mingyu saw that Lu Yan actually responded to him, and immediately stared at him with shining eyes, feeling that a 1,000-year-old iron tree finally bloomed. However, after he finished speaking, Lu Yan lowered his head, and remained silent again. Hey, Brother Lu, I know you don't believe in these things, but what? It's you again, handsome boy. A rough and powerful voice sounded, and Sun Badao was squinting his eyes, and stroking his thick beard with his hands. Hey, Master Sun. Do you still remember me? Hearing this, Mingyu licked his lips and smiled obediently. He was also very sensible, and put the bag of strawberries he bought on the table. You just came to buy mosquito repellent and insect repellent amulets 2 days ago. How could I not remember it? Wen Jiu smiled perfunctorily. She had seen Mingyu looking around behind the team a long time ago. However, the one who attracted her attention the most was not Mingyu, but the handsome guy next to him whose height was much taller than that of ordinary people. Although he had only met him once, and it had been a long time, Wen Jiu was deeply impressed by him. Because this person was so outstanding, just like the perfect modeling in the game. Compared to the abstinent and cold white military uniform last time, this time he wore a casual light colored sweater that made him look more youthful, and the collar just revealed his cold white neck and a clear clavicle. Below was a pair of ordinary light blue jeans without even a hole decoration, but the jeans only made his legs look long and slender, but not too thin, as if everything was in perfect proportion. However, Wen Jiu liked the face of the other party the most. When he raised his head slightly, his jawline was clearer than her future. When he looked at people, his expression was dull, and his slightly upturned almond-shaped eyes were full of indifference. It was a pity that the indifference was also accompanied by the unique freshness of a teenager, just like the sea breeze blowing in the face mixed with a faint mint-cold fragrance. Wen Jiu did not hide the way he stared at the other party, which made Mingyu panic for some reason. He quickly asked, Master Sun, my classmate is not in any bloody disaster, right? Hearing this, Wen Jiu just chuckled. There was no bloody disaster, but the destined person appeared. Today's first update, the hero finally came out of the small dark room. Warm reminder, I emphasize again, that Lu Yan is the hero. Lu Yan is the hero. He has appeared before. He appeared in the chapters of Fortune Teller Sun Badao, and The Hot Man briefly appeared. Cac. Chapter 215 A Hot Man appeared too. After Wen Jiu finished speaking, Lu Yan's face remained calm, as if nothing could cause him to fluctuate. He looked at the person in front of him coldly, giving Wen Jiu the illusion that his disguise had been seen through. The scene seemed to be frozen at this moment. All the disturbances around him disappeared at this moment. Not long after, Wen Jiu lowered his eyes and raised the corners of his lips. This handsome guy was more interesting than she had imagined. He was destined to die young, but his fate was forcibly changed, but the consequence was that his fate was full of misfortunes. For example, he had encountered a fate disaster some time ago, but fortunately he got the opportunity and survived safely. And the most interesting thing is that the sign of the appearance of the destined person is usually the blooming of peach blossoms on his head. Just when they looked at each other just now, she clearly saw a pink peach blossom slowly blooming in the air above the other person's head. Master Sun, what does the destined person mean? Mingyu came forward curiously and sat directly on the chair. Oh, nothing interesting. Wen Jiu didn't look at Lu Yan again, but asked with a smile, old acquaintance, are you buying a talisman or fortune telling today? She was not a sucker, and it was good enough that she was willing to give a free reminder. Don't think of getting her to tell fortunes for free, no matter how handsome you are. If you want to buy a talisman, what can I buy today? Mingyu came several times, so he naturally knew the rules of Wen Jiu's place. If you still need mosquito and insect repellent talismans, I can sell you 3. I don't think you need other types now. Wen Jiu touched his beard in an unfathomable way. At first, she was a little uncomfortable with Sun Badao's rough appearance, but after a long time, she thought this image was pretty good, and this beard was particularly fun to touch. Upon hearing this, Mingyu's face immediately showed the word elated. You know, who wouldn't want to buy 2 more talismans from Sun Badao as a backup? All the effects are complete. Now that the other party said that he didn't need the blessing of talismans for the time being, it means that he must have been very lucky recently. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu still respectfully transferred the money to Wen Jiu. After all, she also took up his time. As the saying goes, time is money. Seeing Wen Jiu so sensible, Wen Jiu's mood improved a little. So she said a few more words. Your brother's health should be fine. Ask your family to find a place for him to recuperate. The humidity there is too heavy, and it is not conducive to his recovery. Also remind your mother to go for a physical examination when she is free recently. Take care of yourself. Wen Jiu was stunned again after hearing her words, but he quickly came to his senses and agreed. Since he had finished his work, Wen Jiu looked at Lu Yan and asked, Brother Lu, do you want to have a fortune telling? I heard that you are going to that thing in a few days. Tell a fortune to pray for safety. After all, it was an academy task, and Wen Jiu heard that Lu Yan had taken on a big task linked to the first military region, so he had to vaguely pass it over. During the time when Wen Jiu and Wen Jiu were chatting, Lu Yan stood by and said nothing. The indifferent attitude made even the curious passers-by dare not look twice, and only Wen Jiu dared to stare at him, or even look him in the eye. Handsome boy, do you want to have your fortune told? I think you are amazing, and you will definitely be a genius in the future. Wen Jiu joked with a smile. She didn't think this person would ask her to tell her fortune. However, to her surprise, the other party actually nodded. How do you tell? Lu Yan's voice was low and clear, which made Wen Jiu sigh in her heart that, if this person debuted as a star, he would definitely make a lot of money. Wen Jiu next to him obviously didn't expect Lu Yan to agree. After he came to his senses, he quickly stood up and gave up his seat. Brother, please sit down. He made a gesture of invitation and stepped aside obediently. After the other party sat down, Wen Jiu found that he looked even better up close. His facial features were clearly defined, and his eyes were as calm as water. The cold phoenix eyes were looking straight at Wen Jiu, but the other party only looked at him with a smile. Handsome boy, do you want to tell fortunes with copper coins or draw lots? Wen Jiu admired his beauty while taking out a few copper coins and a stick holder. But Lu Yan just sat on the chair with his back straight, his eyes still fixed on Wen Jiu. Wen Jiu, who was standing by, was afraid that Lu Yan would not respond, so he quickly explained, my brother Lu doesn't like to talk usually, Master Son, please don't mind. Just a few seconds after he finished speaking, Lu Yan's voice, as clear as a mountain spring, fell. Draw lots. Lu Yan's sudden voice startled Wen Jiu. Seeing this, Wen Jiu handed over the stick holder. Think about what you want in your mind, then gently shake the stick holder to shake out a wooden stick. Lu Yan took the stick holder very calmly and began to operate according to Wen Jiu's instructions. The veins on his hand holding the stick holder bulged slightly, and after shaking for a while, a wooden stick half-dyed red fell on the table with a click. Let me see. Wen Jiu wanted to take the wooden stick himself, but saw Lu Yan holding the wooden stick and handing it to him. His hands had distinct joints and slender fingers, and even his nails were trimmed neatly and rounded with a faint glow, which made Wen Jiu take a few more glances before taking the wooden stick. This hand is so beautiful. If it is used to wash dishes, it will definitely be more pleasing to the eye than Jiu's chubby hands. Ahem. Wen Jiu coughed twice to stop her strange thoughts. How could she compare the hands of a handsome guy with the hands of a little fool? After waking up, Wen Jiu quickly glanced at the words on the wooden stick. Good luck. She smacked her lips and joked. Wen Jiu, who was waiting nearby, immediately leaned over when he heard this. Wow, does that mean my brother Lu is going to have a lot of luck? You could say that. Wen Jiu smiled and looked at Lu Yan. Congratulations, handsome guy. This is the fortune from you, Leo. If you get this fortune, you have all the luck and fortune you need. All you need is the courage to pursue. If you ask about fate, it's a rare good match. If you ask about marriage, you'll live together till old age. 1. Just now I saw peach blossoms blooming on your head, which means you have met your destined person. I think he is nearby. Why don't you go for a walk later and see if you can meet him? Wen Jiu had never thought that Lu Yan would get this kind of fortune. He was so shocked that he blurted out, "But my brother Lou is only 16. It's too early for him to live together till old age." Have you ever heard of childhood sweethearts growing old together? Wen Jiu was speechless. And from school uniforms to wedding dresses, fate is amazing. The person they were talking about just sat there quietly, as if the person they were discussing was not him. But love is a complicated matter. Wen Jiu shifted his gaze to Lu Yan. "If you want to calculate something else, I can let you draw again. Brother Lu, let's calculate something else." Mingyu also looked at Lu Yan. He would never believe that he would ask for marriage calculation. "You are definitely not coming here to calculate your wife, right?" Hearing this, Wen Jiu's eyes showed a hint of curiosity. She also wondered why this man wanted to calculate his marriage. Looking at his cold and indifferent appearance, he didn't look like someone who would care about marriage. Today's second update, please vote. Little Angels 030. Chapter 216. A hot man appeared 3. Mingyu didn't expect Lu Yan to answer his questions. After all, he just didn't like to chat. As a result, Lu Yan slowly said, "No," but she said the destined person. "So, I'm curious." Good guy, this man is actually curious about marriage. Wen Jiu smiled and touched his beard. "It's normal for young people to desire love. I wish you to find the destined person as soon as possible." "Thank you." Lu Yan lowered his eyes, looking less alienated. Seeing that the other party had nothing else to ask, Wen Jiu was about to ask for money when Mingyu asked with a gossipy face, "Hey, Master Sun, can you help my brother Lu see where the destined person is?" He was really curious. After all, he had made a bet with his classmates in private, betting that Lu Yan would never be single in 10 years because the other party was too cold. Even if he had a peerless good face, he couldn't stop the iceberg aura that kept emanating. In addition, Lu Yan's identity was special, so the girls in the academy only dared to watch from afar, and few dared to actively pursue him. Far away in the horizon, but close at hand. When Wen Jiu said this, he was actually very strange in his heart. Except for the aunt selling sweet potatoes, all the other vendors and passers-by were men. Even the customers waiting in line were all men, as if all the women had run away at this moment. Oh, except for her who looked like a man. But she didn't dare to calculate it in detail. Maybe the other party's destined person was 100 meters away. In short, Wen Jiu would never have thought that the destined person who was calculated that year was actually herself. The cost of drawing and interpreting the lot is a total of 4,000 star coins. This time the interpretation is more detailed, so the price is a little higher. After hearing Sun Badao's offer, Mingyu took the initiative to help Lu Yan pay the money. "Let's go, brother Lu." Mingyu looked at the time and felt that it was getting late. "We still have to do something before we go back." After saying that, he saw that Lu Yan was still sitting still and thought that the other party was going to continue to settle some scores with Sun Badao. Lu Yan's lips opened slightly, but he didn't say anything after all. He really wanted to ask about the amulet, but he always felt that it was not polite to ask like this. When Jiu threw the wooden stick back into the stick holder, she saw that Lu Yan was still staring at her, and his originally cold face was a little confused at this time. It was also quite cute. She thought for a moment, guessing whether the other party wanted to ask something privately, so she pointed to a quarter code next to her and said, "Do you want my contact information?" The confusion in Lu Yan's eyes became even more, but he quickly replied, "Yes." Then just scanned the code to add friends. When Jiu supported his chin with one hand, taking the opportunity to appreciate the beauty for a while longer. "Oh, by the way, I don't chat with you for free. Okay." Lu Yan nodded gently and quickly scanned the quarter code with the wisdom ring to add a friend. Mingyu was stunned to see all this happening. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Master Sun was indeed Master Sun. He easily got the contact information of the first commander of the Imperial Capital Military Academy. As far as he knew, there should be no more than 15 people who had Lu Yan's contact information, because the other party only added people they thought it was necessary to contact. Even he had to persuade him several times, and he went on several missions with the other party to try to get closer to him before he added him as a friend. And in this situation, it seems that it was not Sun Badao who wanted to add Luyan, but Luyan who was thinking of ways to add Sun Badao. People really can't be generalized. Master Sun is awesome. Let's go. Brother Lu, Mingyu looked at the time again. It will be too late later. Hearing him say this, Luyan got up from the chair. Every move he made was meticulous, as if it was a set program. Little handsome boy, don't wear your black earrings. When Jiu saw that they were about to leave, so he spoke. Luyan turned around. His pair of phoenix eyes just looked at her quietly without saying a word. That color doesn't suit you. Change to a blue one. Mingyu thought Sun Badao had seen something wrong again, but he was speechless when he heard what he said. What made him even more speechless and surprised was that Luyan actually nodded in response. After they left, when Jiu was still staring at the direction they left in a daze. That sentence was not her original intention, but she didn't know why she blurted it out. She always felt like she had forgotten something, but she couldn't remember it, no matter how hard she tried. Next, regardless of anything else, you still have to make money. After receiving a few more customers seriously, when Jiu left the Star Network world. Jiu. Kyoshi had just come out of the shower, with water droplets still dripping from her hair. Seeing that Kyoshi had returned, when Jiu recovered his mood and said, "Here, that's the dessert I brought you." Wow. Kyoshi smiled with her eyes curved. In fact, she saw the box of Snowmi Nyang when she came back, and she guessed that it was a gift from Wen Jiu, but she felt tired, so she took a hot shower first. Kyoshi opened the box of Snowmi Nyang with great anticipation. She saw that the dessert inside was round and cute, so she immediately picked up one and looked at it. This is so beautiful. She couldn't help but sigh and looked at the Snowmi Nyang in her hand carefully. There was still a small amount of glutinous rice flour on the fine white and soft skin. She took a bite gently, and the slightly tough glutinous rice skin was wrapped with sweet whipped cream. The rich milk fragrance with the sweetness of glutinous rice emanated in the mouth. The outer layer of glutinous rice skin tasted chewy and soft, and the whipped cream inside was just whipped, with a dense and soft taste, and not sweet at all. It's delicious. Kyoshi chewed it carefully and swallowed it, and then continued to bite it. This time, the rich cream was also full of strawberry pieces, and the sour and sweet taste was integrated into the sweetness of milk. The refreshing sweet and sour taste of strawberries goes well with the taste of cream. When chewing, the light sweetness of glutinous rice also blends in. The taste is full of layers. The faint coolness when eating it gave her a cool and comfortable feeling. This made Kyoshi couldn't help but say, "This is very suitable for summer. It must be very refreshing." It is indeed very suitable for summer. When Jiu nodded in agreement, she was about to say something else when she saw her wisdom ring flashing a few times. It was already 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, and she didn't know who would send her a message at this time. So when Jiu opened the light screen panel with curiosity, and what came into view was a pop-up window. "Your account has received 6666 star coins." The next second, the red dot in the message list was jumping. "Yan, hello, Mr. Sun, I have transferred the money and hope to chat with you for half an hour. Today's third update has been delivered, please check it, little angels." Thank you for the support of every little angel. Thank you everyone. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217. She gave me roses 1. Wow, he really paid her to chat with him? When Jiu was stunned by this operation. She didn't expect that the handsome guy would really transfer money to her to request the chat service. Is she the kind of person who can chat with others for a little money? 9. Hello, Mr. Lu. This chat time is half an hour, and the time starts now. After sending this message, when Jiu always felt that her reply was not good enough. She should leave a deep impression on the other party, so that the other party will continue to chat with her, so that she can make more money. So when Jiu recalled the chat tips she had seen on the internet before, and carefully edited a new message and sent it. After sending it, Her face was full of confidence. This message will definitely successfully attract the other party's attention. It's just around the corner for her to make money from this side job of chatting. 9. Good evening. Have you eaten? What time do you plan to go to bed? Look at the selfie, the kind without makeup, at the other end of the chat box at this time. Luyan had never taken the initiative to chat with others. He only sent messages to report the mission. This was the first time he chatted with others like this. He was gifted since childhood and was a multi-talented person. It can be said that, as long as he wanted to learn, there was nothing he couldn't learn. Whether in learning or fighting, he would always be the best and the most outstanding. But such a person could only look at the chat box and fall into deep thought. Luyan tapped the table lightly with his slender knuckles, and the crisp sound rang rhythmically in the room where he was alone. It was a pity that no one could teach him how to communicate and get along with others. After a moment of consideration, Luyan slowly typed on the light screen panel. Yan, good evening. I've eaten. I'll go to bed in an hour. He responded to the questions raised by the other party one by one, but he didn't know how to answer the last sentence, no matter how he thought about it. Just when Luyan fell into deep thought again, the doorbell suddenly rang at the door not far away. While Sun Badao hadn't replied yet, he switched the interface to the monitor at the door. Brother Lu, are you asleep? Mengayu's voice came from the monitor. I bought some fresh oranges. Do you want to try them? Hearing this, Luyan wanted to refuse. First, he was not used to too much contact and communication with people, and second, he had no desire for food and usually relied on nutrient solution. But when he thought that Mingayu seemed to be very familiar with Sun Badao, he opened the door and let the other party in. I'll go. Mingayu obviously didn't expect Luyan to really let him in. After all, the other party had always refused coldly before. Now that the door was opened, he was a little at a loss. Then I'll come in. Mingayu picked up his pocket and walked in carefully. Outstanding students of the Imperial Military Academy enjoy the treatment of single dormitories and can decorate their dormitories according to their own preferences. Luyan's dormitory is decorated in black, white, and grey as the main colors. Whether it is furniture or daily necessities, they are all neatly arranged. Mingyu resisted his curiosity and didn't look around. He went straight to the sofa in the small living room and sat down. Brother Lu, you haven't slept yet so late? Yeah. Luyan only stared at the light screen panel in front of him with full concentration. From the time Mingyu entered the door to the time he sat down, he didn't even look at him. Seeing his expression so focused, Mingyu couldn't help asking, Brother Lu, is the new task too difficult? The Ming family and the 1st Military Region have a deep-level cooperative relationship, which can be said that the Ming family has long been a member of the 1st Military Region. So Mingyu's questions are not out of line, not to mention that he himself will also receive some cooperative tasks related to the 1st Military Region. No. Luyan paused for a moment after he finished speaking. Did Sun Badao ask you for photos? His words made Mingyu feel like there was a question mark on his head. Master Sun asked you for photos? Yeah. Mingyu thought that Luyan was frowning and thinking because he encountered a difficult problem. As a result, the other party now told him that he was just thinking about how to respond to Sun Badao's request for photos. Does this kind of question need to be thought about for so long? Mingayu was very impressed by Sun Badao, so he said without thinking, then you give it to him. Brother Lu, I think Master Sun might want to see your face so that he can tell you a fortune. After saying this, Mingayu felt wronged. Why didn't Master Sun ask him for a photo? Luyan fell into deep thought again, but he really didn't know how to communicate and get along with others. Now only Mingayu could give him some advice. But Mingayu said that, and the other party was quite familiar with Sun Badao, so the suggestion should be fine. So Mingayu saw an incredible scene. Luyan actually turned on the camera function and took a selfie seriously. Is there anyone who can slap him twice? Tell him that he was dreaming all this? Luyan took the photos very calmly and sent them very calmly. Ding ding. The message alert sounded. Wen Jiu, who was drinking water, was so shocked that he sprayed it out. Yan, photopath. A small stream of water came out of Wen Jiu's mouth, and Kyoshi was so scared that she quickly handed her a tissue to wipe her mouth. "What's wrong with you?" Kyoshi looked puzzled. Wen Jiu just waved his hand. "Nothing, nothing. Let me take it easy." She closed her eyes and pinched her eyebrows, but the slightly raised phoenix eyes lingered in her mind. The dark and bright eyes were both cold and a little seductive. Help. Why can someone's headshot look so good? It can be clearly seen from the photo sent by Luyan that he rarely takes selfies. The photo was like a ID photo given by a photo studio. The other party just sat and looked at the camera without even adjusting the angle or posture. But even so, it could not cover up the other party's noble and elegant posture and that cold and indifferent face. Wen Jiu tried to calm down, and she replied to the other party after calming down. 9 After sending the message, she quietly saved the photo sent by the other party. She was not greedy for other people's beauty, but there was some scientific research showing that looking at handsome men more often is good for physical and mental health. Luyan didn't realize that he was led astray by Wen Jiu. He originally wanted to ask the other party about the amulet tonight, but now he is studying what this thumbs up and rose mean. "What do you think, Brother Lu?" Mingyu came out of her aggrieved state and asked curiously, "What does Master Sun think of your face?" Luyan replied expressionlessly, "She gave me a rose." Mingyu. Today's first update, please check it out. Little Angels 030 Small Theater. Wen Jiu. I wish you all a happy Christmas. Have a sweet little apple on Christmas Eve, and everything will be safe and sound. Luyan 0.0 Wen Jiu. Say something. I finally got out of the little dark room. Luyan. I hope you are safe. 0.0 Wen Jiu. I asked you to talk to the little readers. Luyan 0.0. Chapter 218. She gave me roses too. Although people's orientation is free, Mengiu felt that if Sun Badao really had such thoughts, he could accept it. But, Luyan is not someone that Sun Badao can covet. Even if he can predict the future and draw talismans, he can't do such a thing to Luyan. Brother Lu, you, Master Sun. Even Mengiu, who is a talkative person, was stuck at this moment. He couldn't speak, and Luyan naturally wouldn't take the initiative to say anything. At the moment, when the air was stagnant, a new message reminder sounded and broke the silence. Family Wealth 9. By the way, is there anything Mr. Lu wants to see me so late? Jiu, I'm going to sleep first. Kyoshi saw Wen Jiu still fiddling with the light screen panel and went to sleep after saying goodnight. Seeing this, Wen Jiu silently lowered the screen brightness. While the other party hadn't replied to her message yet, she opened the album and brought out the photo to appreciate it carefully. It's really pretty. If she had such a face, she would make a living by her face. She would definitely make a lot of money as a star, right? There is no mistake in the proportion of eyebrows and eyes. It is simply a perfectly constructed model face. But this face is really not good. The road ahead is bumpy and fate is unfortunate. But you can't blame the handsome guy himself. This is all caused by someone forcibly changing his fate. But fortunately, there is a noble person to help in the other party's fate. If you can find that destined person, all disasters can be overcome. Wen Jiu didn't want to calculate any more details. After all, the other party was just a stranger who met by chance. If she calculated too much and revealed the secret, it would only backfire on her in the future. She was just enlarging the photo and appreciating the beauty seriously when the message sent by the other party popped up. Yan, nothing. Wen Jiu was full of question marks. This person sent money to her without saying anything. Could it be that the gods came down to earth to give her money? In short, she didn't understand this behavior. Brother Lu, please don't get yourself involved in investigating Master Sun. Mingyu was trying to dissuade him with a depressed look on his face. I know you are curious about the amulet, and I'm curious too. Although I respect Master Sun very much, if he has any improper thoughts about you, I will be the first to stand up and disagree. He said this seriously, as if he had pierced Sun Badao's dirty thoughts and successfully protected Lu Yan from jumping into the sea of fire. Lu Yan's indifferent eyes revealed a trace of confusion. She didn't I searched it. She was praising me. Now Mingyu was confused. What do you mean you searched it? What did you search for? Seeing Mingyu frowning and looking puzzled, Lu Yan patiently unlocked the privacy shielding function and showed him the current interface. What does it mean when the other party sends a rose and a thumbs up in a chat? Hot answer. It means to praise you and compliment you. The moment he saw this search title and answer, Mingyu was shocked and opened his eyes wide, and then he fell into a deep silence again. Is the Lu Yan in front of him really Lu Yan himself? Why would he search for such a stupid question? However, in addition to being puzzled, Mingyu also felt a little inexplicably fortunate. It turns out that the peerless genius is not good at everything. He doesn't even know how to chat and send emoticons. It seems that he is still far better than Lu Yan in this aspect. Of course, this is just Mingyu's current idea. In the future, he will only sigh that he was too young at the time. Family Wealth 9. How about I tell you a bedtime story? Wen Jiu really didn't know what to say. If it was someone else, she could just sleep it off. But the other party gave her money, and the half-hour chat time was not over yet. So she thought about it, and thought that it seemed that there was nothing to talk about so late. So why not ask the other party if he wanted to hear a bedtime story? There are more than 10 minutes left now. She can tell a bedtime story to pass the time, and then she can turn off the light curtain panel and go to sleep directly. Mingyu was confused when she saw this message. Why is this development getting weirder and weirder? Brother Lu, Master Sun, don't you think he wants to call you? Mingyu swallowed nervously. He is not completely ignorant of love at his age. He knows that some boys like to tell girls bedtime stories to make them happy. But now the parties involved are Sun Badao and Lu Yan, which has a shocking impact on him as much as when he first knew that Lu Yan was S+ in all attributes. No, Lu Yan's intuition told him that Sun Badao is a person who cares a lot about privacy. The other party has been using a virtual image in the Star Network world and even has a high mental protection to prevent others from prying into his privacy. So it is absolutely impossible for the other party to make a phone call. Although he can apply for permission to check Sun Badao's real identity in the Star Network background. After all, the Star Network account is bound to real information. Even if he logs in with a black account, as long as he wants to check, he can find it out with some effort. But Lu Yan didn't know why. After he added Sun Badao as a Star Network friend, he immediately denied the idea of checking the other party's real identity. Family Wealth 9. Mr. Lu, Wen Jiu was a little sleepy, lying on the bed with half-closed eyes like a sleepy cat. Why is the other party so slow in replying to messages? The typing speed of a young person is too slow. Voice input is also fine. A few minutes passed, and the other party had not replied to the message. Wen Jiu wanted to close the light screen panel and go to sleep, but reason told her that it was a bit immoral to make money without working. Fortunately, another minute later, the other party finally replied to her. Yan, okay. Wen Jiu rubbed her eyes to wake herself up. After thinking for a while, she started typing in the chat box. On the other side, Mingyu stared at the chat box blankly, ready to scold Sun Badao if he dared to call. It's true that you can't know a person's heart by his appearance. Sun Badao actually wanted to flirt with the first commander of their Imperial Capital Military Academy. Dirty, obscene, hateful, dirty. But after waiting for a while, Sun Badao didn't call, which made him wonder if he was thinking too much. However, it turned out that he was overthinking. A fortune of millions 9. Then listen carefully. A fortune of millions 9. Once upon a time there was a mountain, and in the mountain there was a temple. In the temple there was an old monk and a young monk. One day, the old monk told the young monk a story. What story was it? A fortune of millions 9. Once upon a time there was a mountain, and in the mountain there was a temple. Sun Badao sent a message every minute, but all the messages were about a temple in the mountain, and it went on indefinitely. Mingyu's mouth twitched when he saw this bedtime story. Brother Lu, is Master Sun fooling you? Today's second update is also delivered. I wish the little angels a happy Christmas Eve. 030. Chapter 219. She gave me roses 3. Wen Jiu was so sleepy that she had to get up early to attend classes during the day. Fortunately, the Star Network chat was smart enough to set up scheduled messages. So she copied more than 10 stories about once upon a time there was a mountain in one go, and set them to be sent one every minute. After finishing, Wen Jiu closed the light screen panel, buried herself in the quilt and fell asleep. However, the last message she sent was different from the previous ones, and she didn't know if the other party could hold on to the end. Family Wealth 9. Once upon a time there was a mountain, and there was a temple in the mountain. Brother Lu, did she set up a scheduled message? Mingyu was speechless and amused now. He didn't expect Sun Badao to be so interesting. Everything he did was beyond his expectations. Maybe this was a style of master, and he couldn't easily predict it. However, Lu Yan didn't answer him, but just looked at the chat box intently, as if he was not reading a repetitive and boring bedtime story, but some important task instructions or reports. Mengiu stayed by the side and watched for 5 or 6 minutes. Every time Sun Badao sent him a message, it was about a temple in the mountain. Seeing that Lu Yan was still reading seriously, Mengiu put the oranges she brought on the table. Brother Lu, it's getting late. I'll go back to the dormitory first. I have classes tomorrow morning. Mengiu didn't bother him anymore and tiptoed out of Lu Yan's dormitory. The night was deep and countless twinkling stars dotted the inky night sky. The bright moonlight sprinkled coldly and shone into the house from the window. Lu Yan's black hair lazily fell under his collarbone, and his cold phoenix eyes just looked at the chat box, counting silently in his heart. There was only 1 minute left, half an hour, and the other party had already sent 13 bedtime stories about a mountain in the past. Ding ding. The pointer fell at 0:40, and the last message notification sound also sounded at this moment. Family Wealth 9. If you have read this far, then I wish you good night and sweet dreams, and go to bed early little handsome boy. A ray of blue light flashed in Lu Yan's dark eyes, and the corners of his mouth unconsciously curved into a beautiful arc. If Mengiu still stayed here, he would definitely slap himself hard. He had never seen Lu Yan smile. You should know that there has always been a rumor in the Imperial Capital Military Academy, that is, Lu Yan is actually a highly intelligent bionic robot developed by the 1st Military Region. Because the technology is not mature enough, it cannot completely simulate human expressions, and can only show a cold face. Although this rumor is particularly outrageous, there is always a small number of people who firmly believe it. If Mengiu saw this scene, he would definitely stand up to help Lu Yan clarify this rumor. Who said that Lu Yan can't laugh and is a bionic man? That's because you don't have the honor to see his other expressions. Lu Yan sat on the chair and looked out the window. The bright full moon hung high in the night sky. He watched for a while before typing the last message in the chat box. Yan, good night and sweet dreams. Wen Jiu slept until dawn. She wanted to continue sleeping, but the alarm clock did not allow it. Get up, get up. Kyoshi patted Wen Jiu, who was wrapped in the quilt. If you don't get up, you'll be late. This scared Wen Jiu so much that he threw off the quilt and sat up. Did I oversleep? The class starts in half an hour. Kyoshi looked at the time and answered. Her first class this morning was a cultural class like Wen Jiu. Although their courses were mainly combat training, most people would not give up cultural classes. Wen Jiu hurriedly washed and packed up. She put on her school uniform and cotton coat, picked up a bottle of nutrient solution, and followed Kyoshi out of the door in a hurry. When they arrived at the classroom for class, it was already crowded. Fortunately, Zikingai came early enough to save a seat for the two of them. Hey, why are you here just now? Zikingai was still a little sleepy at this time and yawned. I've been waiting for a long time. I got up late. Wen Jiu rubbed her eyes. She wrapped herself tightly, like a big snowball. She casually grabbed her hair twice, trying to straighten out her frizzy hair. Seeing her actions, Kyoshi remembered to ask, Jiu, when did you buy this new earring? After saying this, Zikingai also turned her head and stared at Wen Jiu. Jiu has made a fortune in secret. This earring looks like it is made of silver. 1 gram of silver is worth 100,000 star coins. And I think the workmanship is also very fine. The rose below is lifelike. Did you ask a professional refiner to customize it? Wen Jiu touched her ear and felt a chill. She was not very interested in refining, so she had not yet gone to the library to look up relevant information. Only in the 3rd grade of 3047 Academy could one learn to refine, so she naturally could not recognize the materials or metals unique to this world. This is a gift from teacher Yu. Wen Jiu thought for a moment and said, by the way, what is thread silver? Good stuff. Zikingayu answered before Kaioshishi. In addition to being refined into jewelry, thread silver is mainly used to make mecha parts. It has very good ductility after melting, and strong toughness after cooling and shaping. It can be said to be an ideal metal material for making mecha parts below class A. In fact, compared to supernatural combat, Zikingayu is more keen on studying refining, especially making mechas. He is particularly interested. It's a pity that the resources of planet 3047 are limited, and there are not many high quality metal materials available on the market, and even if there are, they are sold at a very high price. Even if he is rich, he can only buy 2 class A ornamental mechas at home to enjoy. Thread silver is one of the few high quality metal materials available on the market of planet 3047. So Zikingayu is quite familiar with thread silver, but it is useless to buy more parts, because there are too many parts and components needed to make a mecha. And the most important thing is the mecha energy. The level of mecha energy determines the final level of mecha after it is manufactured. However, the energy stone used to manufacture mecha energy is far from being purchased in large quantities on low-level planets like planet 3047. Currently, only Class B energy stones are sold on the market here, and the supply is very scarce, so the selling price is extremely high. Wow. After hearing what Zikingayu said, Wen Jiu touched her earrings again. 1 gram is worth 100,000 star coins. Isn't she wearing a set of gold on her ears? Thinking of this, Wen Jiu suddenly wanted to take off the earrings. If she accidentally lost the earrings, how heartbroken she would be. But think about it again. Ruman actually gave her such an expensive gift. She owed her a lot. And the silver thread is hard to damage. Kaioshishi finally added, I feel like your earrings are custom made, so they shouldn't fall off. Her words relieved Wen Jiu's worries, and the 3 of them continued to chat about mecha for a while until the class bell rang. Today's 3rd update. Thank you to every little angel for your support, and love. Thank you everyone. 030. Chapter 220 Live PK1. After a whole morning, when the bell for the 2nd class rang, Wen Jiu stood up and walked quickly out of the classroom. It was already 11 o'clock, and she had to go to the cafeteria to work. However, as soon as she walked out of the classroom, she bumped into a student. Sorry. Wen Jiu was a little dizzy, but she quickly came to her senses and looked at the person who came. Sorry, I left too quickly. Sunmyo rubbed his forehead. It's you, classmate Wen. Wen Jiu also recognized the seemingly fragile girl in front of her. The other party performed very well in the fighting class, so she left a deep impression on her. Hello, classmate Sun, are you okay? Out of politeness, she still exchanged a few words with Sunmyo, and then she said goodbye to him, and hurried to the cafeteria. Zikingayu and Kaioshishi only had 1 cultural class this morning, and after class, the 2 of them went to the training ground together for extra training. But they all took into account that Wen Jiu's 2nd class would end later, so they went to the storage to help Wen Jiu pick up the express delivery not long after training, and also went to the cafeteria in advance to do some preparation work within their ability. Wow, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Zikingayu was cutting scallions on the chopping board. Sister Jiu, did I do a particularly good job today? Not bad. Wen Jiu applauded him symbolically. You've made progress, little brother. Kaioshishi, who was carefully cutting pickled radishes next to him, heard the voice and said, I'm also working hard. I cut these radishes into smaller pieces, so that they are easier to eat. Hearing this, Wen Jiu immediately began to applaud and said, you are worthy of it, my baby Shishi. This differential treatment made Zikingayu purse her lips tightly and stare at Kaioshishi. However, the other party also stared back at him without showing any weakness, and there was even a hint of mockery in his eyes. Seeing that the 2 were about to stage another battle for favor, Wen Jiu quickly coughed twice to let them work quickly. Fortunately, the canteen meals she prepared these days were all glutinous rice balls and dumplings, which were made in advance and frozen in the refrigerator. When the business starts, just take them out and cook them with water. What Wen Jiu has to do now is to prepare the ingredients for the tasting dishes. Just as she was about to start her daily live broadcast, she heard a knock on the door. The three of them looked at each other, and finally it was Zikingayu who ran to open the door. "It's you, Zikingayu." Sun Mao's eyes flashed with a trace of disdain. "Hello, classmate Wen. Teacher Lee asked me to come for an interview." These words confused Wen Jiu. "What interview? What interview?" "It's like this. I want to find a part-time job. Then I saw that your window number 18 is still recruiting, so I applied to Teacher Lee. But Teacher Lee said that this matter must be approved by you first, so I came to find you." Sun Mao finished his words quickly and then stood quietly there waiting for a reply. "I'm sorry, classmate Sun." Wen Jiu smiled politely. "I don't need any more people here. You can go to other windows to ask." Seeing this, Sun Mao just nodded and turned away. "Sister Jiu, aren't the two of us enough?" Zikingayu was very angry. He didn't like that Sun Mao. Every time he saw Sun Mao, he felt unhappy, and he always felt that Sun Mao was weird. "Enough." Wen Jiu was speechless. "You are making a fuss and you are worth two people. Hurry up and work." After saying that, she opened the light screen panel to check the message. Although she didn't see Lee Kinson send her anything related to recruitment, she thought that maybe she forgot to cancel the recruitment notice. So Wen Jiu edited a message to Lee Kinson and asked her to help cancel the recruitment notice to prevent more students from applying for the job. After sending the message to Lee Kinson, Wen Jiu checked other unread messages. What surprised her was that the handsome boy who asked her to chat last night actually replied to her message. Although it was just a simple good night, sweet dreams, what surprised Wen Jiu the most was the time when the other party sent the message. It was exactly 1 minute after she sent the last message, which means that the other party probably really finished reading her boring bedtime story. This made Wen Jiu feel guilty for some reason. Others were waiting for her reply seriously, but she edited more than 10 identical "once upon a time there was a mountain" and set it to be sent at a scheduled time. Oh. She sighed slightly, thinking that if there was a next time, she would definitely write a bedtime story for the other party. Then Wen Jiu closed the dialogue box with the handsome guy and chatted with Lulu, who just sent a message for a while and then switched the interface to Bikaliv. She was intelligently matched with Park 3 times by the system last week and won 2 of them and only lost the last time by a difference of 2%. But this really can't be blamed on Wen Jiu, nor can it be blamed on the money fans for not being strong. Because her Park winning rate was too high, the anchor she matched with for the 3rd time was an old anchor who jumped from other platforms. That person was doing outdoor live broadcasts and brought a large number of fans. Before he changed jobs, he was already an anchor with more than 400,000 fans, and he was a 3-star anchor on other platforms. It was a pity that he had a disagreement with that platform, and he jumped to Bikaliv in anger and started as a 2-star anchor. These news were told to Wen Jiu by the money fans who were busy comforting her after she failed in the park, but Wen Jiu was not sad because of this. Instead, she was more motivated. "Hello everyone, I'm Gongzi Farke. Welcome to my live broadcast room. Today I will make fried meat with celery and the long-awaited return dish for everyone." Wen Jiu paused for a moment before revealing that is fried meatballs. She didn't open a tasting when she made fried meatballs before, so many old money fans are particularly greedy for this and often post in her dynamic area hoping that this dish can be returned. As a anchor who pampers fans, Wen Jiu must of course satisfy their wishes. What's more, because she signed up for the park of new anchors during this period, the money fans often cheer her up and reward her, and it is only right for her to repay everyone with food. A man like the wind, my youth is back. It's fried meatballs. I must get them today. Chris wants to eat 5 bowls. What a waste of your youth. Were you watching the live broadcast when Sister Farke was making fried meatballs? Ding dang 20. Stop arguing. Are fried meatballs the main point? The main point is fried meat with celery. That's celery, celery, celery. It's something that even dogs won't eat. Wen Jiu specially posted a message on Zingbo and the dynamic area to collect the ingredients that everyone hates the most. Then she selected the ingredients with the most nominations in the comments so that she can continue to make the most unpalatable food challenge series in history. Today's first update: I wish you all a happy Christmas. Be happy every day. 030. As a human being happy is the most important thing. Chapter 221 Live PK2. The celery she was going to use today was one of the ingredients that was nominated in the top 10 by the money fans. It must be said that the tastes of the citizens of the Federation seem to be very similar to those of people in modern society. Most people don't like vegetables such as buttermelon, celery, and watercress. But there are a few people who love these vegetables. For example, Wen Jiu's taste is relatively broad, and there is almost nothing she doesn't like. Let me deal with the ingredients for the fried meatballs first. After saying that, Wen Jiu skillfully chopped the meat. Zikingai had already washed these ingredients for her once, so she could just use them directly. Just when she had chopped the meat and was about to start mixing the meat filling, a pop-up window suddenly popped up on the light screen panel, prompting that the smart park was about to begin. After the failure of the last park, she still had 2 park opportunities left. As long as she won once, she would be able to advance smoothly. Wow, it's actually a food anchor. Rocky showed his charming smile to the camera. Hello, ma'am, what a coincidence. You do food live broadcast, and I do professional eating live broadcast. Since the other party took the initiative to greet, Wen Jiu naturally smiled back and said, hello, what a coincidence. Although she showed a big smile, except for the people in the kitchen, all the audience saw her as the familiar crying Cathead. Ms. Cathead, may I ask what kind of dish are you making? Rocky looked at the light screen panel with curiosity. There was a table full of dishes in front of him. He has been doing eating live broadcasts for so long and has seen many strange food anchors, but this kind of person with a big cat head and a bowl of meat paste is the first time he has met one. What I'm making now is fried meatballs. Wen Jiu began to put seasonings in the bowl, and while she was putting them in, she told the audience the ratio of various seasonings. Her operation surprised Rocky even more. In addition to adding seasonings to the meat paste, the other party actually reported the detailed ratio. You should know that most food anchors only broadcast their cooking process live, and they will never report the detailed seasoning ratio. But it's not just these food anchors. The chefs in reality also hide the seasoning ratio, for fear that someone will crack it and steal their jobs. However, the cat-headed anchor in front of him not only reported the detailed ratio, but also said that he would post the recipe in the dynamic area after the broadcast. Does she know what she is doing? Or is the food she cooks particularly unpalatable, so she doesn't worry about people stealing the recipe at all? Rocky took a big sip of orange juice with doubts. He was about to announce that he was going to start lunch when he saw the cat-headed anchor took out a bunch of celery. Puff. He was so scared that he sprayed orange juice directly from his mouth. After he came to his senses, he hurriedly wiped the table. Orange juice in Rocky's hand. What's going on? Why did it spray out? Eat a carrot. Am I seeing right? The anchor on the other side actually took out a bunch of celery. Are you planning to do a food live broadcast for the curious? Do you have pancakes? I feel like I smell that celery. I'm going to vomit. Sorry. Rocky wiped the table and the camera randomly. He secretly thanked God that he didn't spray it on the food, otherwise he would have to order tequila again. He looked at the screen of the cat-headed anchor again. The other party was very focused on cutting the celery in his hands. With a clang, he cut a long row of celery into small pieces and then lifted it with a kitchen knife and threw it into the basin on the side. Now soak the celery segments in salt water for a while. The cat-headed anchor's voice was a little thick and a little sharp. This can remove the overly astringent taste of the celery and make it taste more tender. Rocky roughly judged that this anchor should be a middle-aged woman. Looking at the other party's live broadcast background and the audience barrage, it turned out to be an aunt working in the cafeteria. Rocky, who was only in his early 20s, immediately shouted respectfully, "Auntie, which college's cafeteria do you work in?" This reached the ears of Wen Jiu, who was cutting shredded pork, and she almost couldn't even hold the kitchen knife. It's not convenient to disclose, She struggled for a moment in her heart and finally accepted the title of auntie. Auntie is auntie. She is even the mother of her fans. What else does she need? After the shredded pork is cut, add appropriate amount of starch, dark soy sauce and light soy sauce. If you like the taste to be more tender and smooth, you can also add some egg white like me. Wen Jiu was very focused when cooking, and coupled with her skilled cooking skills, it looked very pleasing to the eye. Rocky couldn't help but stare at the light screen panel intently, but he didn't stop eating. He ate an orange and a strawberry, which made his audience couldn't help but launch a barrage. Eat a carrot. Rocky, you didn't get greedy by watching the celery being made on the other side? Why did you start eating like crazy? Rocky loves to eat strawberries. What does it have to do with the other side? Who doesn't know that our brother Rocky loves to eat strawberries and oranges? Even if he is facing a pile of that, he can eat without blinking. Lee in the hat. The previous comment is exaggerated. It's lunchtime. Please don't talk about weird things. Ahem. Rocky saw the comment that said that he could eat that, and he was choked and coughed instantly. Not really not. He didn't expect his fans to see him like this. Although I love to eat, I'm not only picky about food, but also about the environment. Okay. You are my old fans. Don't tarnish my reputation. Don't scare those new fans away, thinking that I'm a curious anchor. Rocky talked a lot until he saw the cat head anchor cutting the flame fruit. Auntie, this flame fruit is not delicious. He touched his chin. It's spicy and astringent, and I can't chew it. As a professional food broadcaster, Rocky has tried ingredients that few people have tried. Of course, he won't eat anything that is too curious. At most, he will try new varieties of ingredients, such as the flame fruit. This is what the unprocessed flame fruit tastes like. Wen Jiu cut the flame fruit into thin strips. In fact, the processing method of the flame fruit is similar to celery. After cutting, you have to soak it in salt water. She discovered the existence of the flame fruit when she was shopping in the Star Network supermarket, because she habitually checked the discount promotion area every day, and the flame fruit happened to appear in this area last night. And Wen Jiu's favorite promotion is buy as much as you want. So when she saw buy £1 and get £1 of flame fruit for free, she decisively placed an order for this ingredient, even though she had never used it before. Today's second update. Thank you for the support and love of every little angel. Thank you everyone. 030. Chapter 220 to live PK3. However, Wen Jiu had seen the explanation of the flame fruit when she was reading the biology illustration book in the library before, so she was not worried that she would not be able to handle this ingredient. The flame fruit looks very similar to ordinary bell peppers, but the former is more colorful and fuller. And if the pepper seeds inside are not removed, it will be extremely spicy and make people feel like they want to spit fire. So Wen Jiu, based on the characteristics of the flame fruit, first hollowed out the pepper pulp and pepper seeds inside, and then cut it into strips and soaked it in salt water. It's almost time for our cafeteria to open. Wen Jiu put the basin of water soaking the flame fruit strips aside. It's still the old rule. The tasting dishes will be made after the business is over. This successfully attracted Rocky's attention. He has seen a lot of food live broadcasts, but this is the first time he has seen a live canteen open. He thought that the audience on the other side was playing a joke in the barrage, but he didn't expect that the cat-headed anchor was really a cafeteria staff member and was also the chef responsible for cooking. This made him send a message to his brother's group, telling them about the magical anchor he saw today. Share the link. The anchor is live streaming. Come and join us, brothers. Come and see this anchor. She is actually a cafeteria auntie. And she also uses celery and flame fruit to cook. I don't know which unlucky school this dark cooking master is from. However, the other people in the brothers group seemed to be busy, and no one replied to his message. But Rocky has become accustomed to it, so after sending the message, he switched back to the live interface to continue watching. Chris wants to eat 5 bowls. Other students still eating glutinous rice balls and dumplings today. I'm so envious. I also want to eat glutinous rice balls and dumplings every day. Who wouldn't envy? It must be super happy to be able to go to the school of Sister Fake, and there are delicious meals to eat every day. 33 I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. Sister Farkay, please close the business soon. Rocky looked at these comments and was very puzzled. How could a normal person like to eat flame fruit with celery? Aren't they afraid of getting a stomachache? He just thought that these comments were the water army brought by the opposite anchor. After all, there are anchors who do this. Come on, audience friends. Today I want to eat the new series of dishes from Jasmine Restaurant. Rocky pointed the camera at the table and took a close-up shot of each dish. The name Jasmine Restaurant should be familiar to everyone, right? It is a 9-star restaurant on the planet Kuroman, and this year it won the 8th place in the top 10 restaurants in the Federation. He introduced it to the audience enthusiastically, and at the same time, poured himself a full glass of orange juice. Orange juice in Rocky's hand. I'm on the screen again. Rocky, don't spray orange juice this time. Do you have pancakes? TSK, you are worthy of being a new local tyrant anchor. As far as I know, Jasmine Restaurant only provides takeout services to members. Brother Monkey, hey, the opposite anchor actually ordered takeout from Jasmine Restaurant? Once how? Only members of Jasmine Restaurant can provide takeaway service, right? I heard that to become a member, you must first recharge tens of millions of star coins. You found out. Rocky admitted that he was a member, but tens of millions is not a big amount. I think it's worth spending this money on a meal. He was about to start introducing the dishes of Jasmine Restaurant, but he saw the cat-headed anchor turned his head and looked at the light screen panel. For some reason, Rocky always felt that the other party was glaring at him. But the other party was wearing a tearful cat head cover, so how could there be any expression or eyes? So he paused for a few seconds until the other party continued to work, and then he stammered, everyone knows this egg custard, right? Egg custard is one of the signature dishes of Jasmine Restaurant, and I personally love this dish very much. But today's main dish is not egg custard, but Jasmine Restaurant's new series of dishes. The whole series has a total of 10 dishes, and all of them are spicy. After saying that, Rocky smiled again. I don't know if I will have a stomachache after eating it. I can't really eat spicy food. 9 cats, so funny, who ate 5 bags of super spicy dried mangoes in one go last time. Rocky was busy introducing the dishes to his audience, while Wen Jiu started to make dumplings and glutinous rice balls. 3 servings of glutinous rice balls. 4 servings of boiled dumplings. She quickly boiled the dumplings and glutinous rice balls in water, and then neatly fished them out, and put them on plates and bowls. Rocky was not interested in this scene at first. Although the rice dumpling was white and round, and looked very cute, he felt that it was tasteless, and could not arouse his appetite. As for the dumplings, he did not believe that someone who used celery and flame fruit to cook, could make any delicious dumplings. So he did not watch the cat head anchor's picture again, and only focused on introducing the dishes of Jasmine Restaurant to the audience. This dish is amazing. It is said to be a restoration of the classic dish of ancient China, boiled fish. Rocky swallowed his saliva, just by looking at the boiled fish covered with red peppers. He is the kind of person who loves spicy food. Look at this full of red peppers. Even the soup is floating with a layer of red oil. In the past, after he finished speaking, the barrage would start to comment with him. However, when Rocky looked up today, he found that the barrage was brushing completely different content. Do you have pancakes? Oh my god. Look at the color of this chili oil. It's too bright. Rocky loves strawberries. Is there any kind person on the other side who can answer where to buy the chili oil used by the anchor? 9 cats. I'm so greedy. Help. This spicy smell has penetrated my nose. It's fragrant and spicy with a hint of sour vinegar. This dipping sauce would be delicious, even if you use it to mix the soles of your shoes. Rocky watched these strange comments passing by, and then he realized that the live broadcast screen on the other side had switched to students eating. Those students were eating dumplings like wolves and tigers, and each of them had a small dish of crimson dipping sauce on their plates. The off-white dumplings were wrapped in it, and instantly dyed with the orange-red dipping sauce, and there were a few peanuts and white sesame seeds stuck on them. It was such a simple picture that immediately attracted Rocky's attention. He quickly turned on the sensor to receive the aroma transmission, and sure enough, a spicy and fresh smell instantly floated out. If you sniff it carefully, you can also smell the smell of roasted peanuts and white sesame seeds. The dumplings tasted like nothing Rocky had ever tasted before, freshened with a strong meaty aroma, and sometimes with the fragrance of vegetables. Oh my god. Rocky couldn't help but sigh. He no longer had the heart to eat the dishes at Jasmine restaurant. He just wanted to know where he could buy this dipping sauce in dumplings. Today's third update. Thanks again to every little angel who supports me. 030. Chapter 223 Celery and Pork 1. Miss Cathead, where can I buy the quick frozen dumplings and the dipping sauce in your cafeteria? Rocky was so greedy that he wanted to know the link and placed dozens of orders. I made these dumplings and the dipping sauce myself. They are limited editions in our cafeteria. Rocky was shocked to hear this. He had never thought that this was really made by the Cathead anchor. The main reason was that the celery and flame fruit had a huge impact on him. He couldn't imagine that the Cathead anchor would actually make such tempting food. Pumpkin Big Guanan. So, where can I buy it? It's so funny, I can't buy it at all. 1 week flowering season. It is recommended that this dumpling be renamed as a limited edition of a certain college cafeteria. Little Bear Puff Puff. That's right. Sister Farkay can consider selling quick frozen dumplings. Let us, the non-staff students, have a taste too. Seeing these comments, Wen Jiu just shook his head helplessly. She also considered looking for manufacturers to cooperate in selling frozen dumplings and glutinous rice balls, but there are not many food processing factories on planet 3047, and she couldn't find any other reliable manufacturers for the time being, so this idea could only be put aside for the time being. I also want you all to eat the dumplings and glutinous rice balls I made, but the anchor can't do it, she said leisurely with a sigh. But if there are manufacturers willing to cooperate, you can contact me in private to discuss in detail. Ding dang 20. Are there any manufacturers watching the live broadcast? Hurry up and contact Sister Farkay to make a fortune together. Big Brother Monkey, I have a good friend who is engaged in food processing. After watching the live broadcast, I will ask him if he is willing to cooperate with Sister Farkay. Glacier, what a coincidence. I'm an employee of a food company. To be honest, the frozen dumplings we sell are really not as delicious as those made by Sister Farkay. I will write an application report to the boss later. The barrage of comments began to discuss how to find manufacturers to cooperate. They seemed to be more concerned than Wen Jiu himself. Even Rocky, who had just met her by chance, started to have ideas. Although he had never tasted the dumplings and the dipping sauce, just smelling the flavor and watching the fresh and fragrant meat fillings revealed by the cross-section of the dumplings after the students bit them was enough to make him dream about it. And he happened to have a brother who was in the food industry, so it was not a problem to let him cooperate with this anchor to produce something. The only problem was that he had to try the dishes made by the Cathead anchor first. What if it only smelled and looked good but tasted bad? Wouldn't he be leading his brother into a pit? So Rocky asked, Ms. Cathead, when can we start tasting? Wait until the cafeteria closes. After getting the answer, Rocky wanted to sit quietly and wait for the other party to start tasting. But the dumplings were eaten by the students one after another, which really made him a little greedy. So he picked up his chopsticks and did his business. Today's meal at Rocky's. Ding, ding, ding. Rocky used chopsticks to remove the red peppers on the boiled fish and carefully picked up a piece of snow white fish meat and put it into his mouth. The full spicy taste instantly invaded his taste buds, but the taste was too strong, so he choked and coughed immediately. Cough cough. Cough cough. Rocky quickly drank a big sip of orange juice, but the strong spicy taste still lingered on the tip of his tongue, making him feel numb. He took a moment to taste the fish again, but the spicy taste was too strong to completely cover the deliciousness of the fish itself. It can be said that there was only numbing in addition to the spiciness, as if eating peppers raw. In fact, Rocky used to like this taste because the spicy dishes he ate were basically like this, using a strong spicy taste to shock the taste buds. But today, after seeing the fragrant and spicy dipping sauce, he suddenly felt that this kind of spicy dish did not arouse his interest. Eat a carrot. Why didn't Brother Rocky eat it? Where did your commenting while eating go? Ahem. Let's not eat this boiled fish for now. Rocky took another sip of orange juice. This dish is quite spicy, but there is no other taste, except the spicy feeling. Orange juice in Rocky's hand. Brother, what you said is very strange. Aren't spicy dishes mainly spicy? So of course there is only spicy taste. Rocky used to think so, but now he always feels that spicy dishes should not only be spicy, but should be like that dipping sauce. In addition to the spicy taste, there is also an attractive and rich aroma. And when those students dipped the dumplings in water, they were not choked or uncomfortable at all, which shows that the spiciness of the dipping sauce was not too strong. But Rocky clearly smelled the fresh and spicy taste, so now he only thought about the magical dipping sauce and had no intention of eating the new dishes of Jasmine restaurant. Fortunately, the cat head anchor did not open for too long. He only waited for an hour before hearing the other party announce the end of business. Today at noon, we will have 3 rounds of tastings. Fried meatballs and celery fried meat are mixed. It all depends on luck, what you can get. When Jiu first made fried meatballs, she had made this dish several times, so her skill in making meatballs was perfect. One by one, the round meatballs were put into the hot oil, splashing with oil. The pink surface was instantly covered with a layer of golden color, and the rich meat aroma also drifted out as time passed. Chris wants to eat 5 bowls. Wow, it's worthy of the fried meatballs I dream of eating. I can eat 5 bowls of rice with this smell. The man like the wind. Then don't fight with us for the tasting. Just eat rice with this smell now. It smells so good. Rocky, who was sitting at the table, only smelled the strong meat aroma at this time, as if the large table of dishes in front of him were just decorations. The barrage in his live broadcast room was also brushing words such as "it smells so good" or "I want to eat," and the scene suddenly became like a live broadcast of the cat head anchor. However, Rocky no longer had the energy to think about it. He looked straight at the cat-headed anchorman who used a mesh to scoop up a lot of meatballs. Each meatball was fried golden and crispy, as if you could feel the plump crispy skin as soon as you bit into it. "Ms. Cathead, will you sell these meatballs in your small shop?" Rocky asked this question, based on the idea that, if you can solve it with money, don't spend more time. After all, it is too difficult to compete with hundreds of thousands of people for tasting. If the other party can sell dishes in his own small shop, he can spend money to buy a lot. However, the other party just waved his hand and said, "Sorry, I don't have the small shop function yet." This made Rocky very disappointed. It seems that he can only use his hard-working hands to compete with the audience for a tasting spot. Just when he was about to do a big job, he suddenly heard the cat-headed anchorman say again, "Next, let's start making fried celery and meat." This dish is relatively simple to make. If you are interested, you can learn it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224, Celery and Pork 2. Help. This is celery fried with meat. Celery. Who would eat celery in a normal state? When Rocky thought of the astringent taste and pungent fishy smell of celery, he almost started to retch on the spot. The flame fruit shreds and celery have been soaked in salt water for almost a month. Now I'll add some hot oil. Seeing the barrage of comments on the screen all disliking celery, Wen Jiu couldn't help but silently complain about celery in his heart. In fact, celery is rich in protein and various vitamins, and its nutritional content is quite high. It also has the effects of calming the liver and clearing heat, moistening the lungs and relieving coughs, and lowering blood pressure. So in general, eating more celery is very beneficial to the human body. Beauty speechless, although I really want to complain about how bad celery tastes. Considering that the last time the rich mother made bitter melon, I will shut up for the time being. A Big Wolf 33. Meat is okay. Celery is not. I haven't eaten the flame fruit, so I don't know how it tastes. I'm so hungry. Flame fruit and celery are about the same. I once wanted to buy bell peppers, but I got the flame fruit by mistake. I almost fainted from the spiciness. In fact, celery and flame fruit taste good after being processed well. Everyone, please trust my cooking skills. Wen Jiu confidently put the garlic cloves into the pot and fried them, then poured the celery and flame fruit shreds into the pot. After quickly stir frying for dozens of seconds, she poured them into a clean plate. Just stir fry the celery and flame fruit shreds for a few seconds, and now continue to stir fry the shredded pork with the remaining hot oil. As she spoke, she poured the marinated shredded pork into the pot, and the spatula quickly moved the shredded pork together. The shredded pork in the pot was instantly separated. Then Wen Jiu added salt, oyster sauce, soy sauce and other seasonings, and finally poured the celery and flame fruit shreds that had just been fried into the pot. After mixing them with the shredded pork and stir frying them for a few seconds, she turned off the flame. A faint white mist floated over the pot, and the big pot of red and green celery and pork looked particularly tempting. It's the old rules. Wen Jiu only fried 3 servings of celery and pork at this time. I'll give you a taste after I finish my meal. Rocky, who was ready to grab the taste, was stunned. Wasn't the other party a food anchor who was cooking? Why did he suddenly start eating live? The audience in his live broadcast room also raised the same question. Do you have a pancake? The other party is not going to live broadcast eating, right? Isn't the cat head lady a food anchor? The orange juice in Rocky's hand. Brother Rocky, start your eating live broadcast quickly. The other party is trying to steal your job. Laughing up to the sky. It's so funny Rocky's job was stolen by the food anchor. When Rocky saw this barrage, he immediately muttered, it's not certain who will take whose job. I can cook, too. Seeing that the cat-headed anchor really started to set up the table, and 2 little cat-headed anchors were busy serving rice and dishes, Rocky began to be alert. Could it be that he really wanted to compete with him in eating? Looking at the display page again, it just happened to prompt that the popularity park was about to begin. Rocky's desire to win was instantly ignited. He tried to struggle out of the temptation of the meaty aroma, picked up the rice bowl and chopsticks, and began to shout, everyone, look at me here. Next, I'm going to start the dry rice show. After he finished speaking, he picked up a chopstick of sour and spicy potato shreds. The potato shreds were fried a little too soft, causing him to struggle to pick them up several times before he succeeded. Well, this potato shreds are sour and spicy. Rocky scooped a few mouthfuls of rice and ate them. The sour and spicy tastes are very strong, very suitable for rice. And it's soft in the mouth, and you don't even need to chew. Although he ate fiercely, he didn't give the audience the feeling of wolfing it down. This spicy small yellow croaker is also good. It is very spicy, so there is no fishy smell at all. The only drawback is that there are a lot of bones. While Rocky was tasting the dishes and commenting seriously, Gongzi Fake also started to do a food broadcast. These are the 2 dishes. Eat them or not. When Jiu was pointing fingers at Zikingayu, she didn't know who this child learned to be picky about food. I don't want to eat celery. Zikingayu's little face fell, with a wronged look. Celery is so disgusting. I will vomit instantly after eating it. Then don't eat celery. Kyoshi picked up the bowl speechlessly. You can eat shredded flame fruit or shredded meat, and there are fried meatballs here. She is a loyal fan of Wen Jiu. Since she ate bitter melon stuffed with meat last time, she firmly believed that no matter what Wen Jiu cooks, it will be delicious. In order to prove her trust in Wen Jiu, Kyoshi directly picked up a chopstick of celery and fried meat and stuffed it into her mouth. The crisp and tender celery segments were crunched by her, and the spicy taste of the flame fruit shreds was just right, not too choking, and just enough to arouse people's appetite. The tender and fresh shredded pork was stained with the spicy taste of the flame fruit shreds after being fried over a fierce fire, and the flame fruit shreds soaked in salt water were no longer astringent and difficult to chew, but had a refreshing and crisp taste. Delicious. Kyoshi took a bite of rice and picked up the celery and shredded pork with chopsticks, with happiness written all over her face. Seeing her happy face eating, Zikingayu was still reluctant to touch the celery and shredded pork, and only picked up a fried meatball. The fried meatball was still as crispy and delicious as ever. It burst and guava flowed out instantly after a bite, and the rich meat aroma could not dissipate in the mouth for a long time. A little pepper flavor was mixed in the meat aroma, which better set off the original aroma of the Black Mountain pork. Sure enough, fried meatballs are my love. Zikingayu couldn't help but sigh again and again. He glanced at the celery and meat dish. Although he knew that Wen Jiu could cook bittermelon very deliciously, he hated vegetables like celery and coriander more than bittermelon. He always felt that celery and coriander had an unpleasant fishy smell. If you don't like celery, don't eat it. Wen Jiu saw his thoughts. Enjoy your fried meatballs. After saying that, she seemed to remember something and stood up and walked to the kimchi jar in the corner, using chopsticks to scoop out a small bundle of cowpeas. The light green cowpeas were long and had many water droplets hanging on them when they were scooped out. They looked very beautiful and juicy. This is pickled cowpeas, and they are especially delicious with rice. Wen Jiu had just put the cowpeas on the chopping board and was about to cut them when she saw an audience member asking questions in the barrage. She held the cowpeas with one hand and picked up the kitchen knife with the other hand and cut them quickly. In a few seconds, she cut the long cowpeas into short sections. After cutting, she put the cowpeas into a big bowl, then added a few spoonfuls of chili oil and some salt, MSG, vinegar and other seasonings, and mixed them well. A very appetizing pickled cowpea was ready. Here, Wen Jiu put the big bowl in front of Ziqingyu. Seeing that she didn't like celery, she didn't force it. Ziqingyu thanked her in a low voice, then picked up the big bowl and used chopsticks to scrape some cowpeas into the rice bowl. Today's second update, please check it out. Little Angels 030. Chapter 225, Celery and Pork 3. The light green cowpeas were stained with bright red chili oil. In addition to the sour and refreshing taste of the soaked cowpeas, the chili oil also had a strong spicy aroma. The stimulated Ziqingyu ate several mouthfuls of rice without saying a word. Orange juice in Rocky's hand. It's over. Why do I feel that the person on the other side is more like a food broadcaster than Rocky? Those two little cats and cat heads are eating too deliciously. Eat a carrot. I want to run away to the next live broadcast room. Is this really reasonable? The little cats and cat heads are eating better now. I'm greedy. Chris wants to eat 5 bowls. The two children of the rich mother finally made up for themselves and can compete with professional food broadcasters. Ahem. Let me try this cold mixed colorful chicken. Rocky was still immersed in his business. Look at this chicken. It's wrapped in soup, full of red oil and chili powder. After saying this, he put the chicken into the rice bowl and put down his chopsticks, then picked up the water cup next to him and drank orange juice. His lips were swollen from eating so much, and even the corners of his mouth were red from the spiciness. Only by drinking ice cold orange juice continuously could he relieve the burning feeling in his stomach. After a moment of relief, Rocky looked at the light screen panel to see his heat park progress. What surprised him was that he only had 30% of the park bar. However, he was even more surprised by the barrage on the screen, all of which were talking about the anchor next door. There were even viewers who said that he was not as good as the two little cats on the opposite side. They didn't even show their faces and just sat there to grab the food, which was more appetizing than him eating spicy food with a stiff upper lip. How can it be more appetizing than me? I've been doing food broadcasting for more than half a year. I'm very professional. Rocky subconsciously retorted, but when he saw the screen on the other side, he was speechless. The two little cats were concentrating on eating, sometimes picking up a meatball and biting it, sometimes picking up chopsticks to stir fry celery with meat, and the light green cowpeas dyed with chili oil. The two of them rushed to put them in their own bowls. The green with grass on its head. I'm greedy, I want to eat. Fortune mom, please take care of us kids. Little bear puff puff, mom, I'm hungry, food. The audience was urging Wen Jiu to cook and start tasting. She happened to be full at this moment, so she simply got up and went to the stove to start the tasting session. I'll say it again. There will be 3 rounds of tasting. A mix of celery, fried meat and deep fried meatballs. It all depends on fate to get what you get. Rocky looked at the light screen panel with mixed feelings. Although he had already thought about grabbing the tasting to taste the flavor, the other side had snatched all his fans away. He actually had to eat other people's food to continue to send fans. It really made him feel a little bit ridiculous. However, when the cat-headed anchor shouted to start the tasting competition, he still silently clicked on the grab option. Maybe God felt sorry for him. He actually got the first round of tasting position in one shot. You guys hurry back from next door. I got the tasting position of Ms. Cathead. Rocky said to the camera proudly. I'll do a dish evaluation later to see how it tastes. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw his fans frantically launching a barrage of question marks. Do you have a pancake? My current mood is just like my nickname. Has Rocky been bribed by the enemy? Midnight Howl Rocky, wake up. Stop adding heat to the opponent. You only have 25% of the park bar now. Rocky saw the barrage saying that he was lagging behind in park and just pursed his lips and replied, actually, I think it's okay to lose the park. And didn't I tell you not to give me tips? I'm not short of money. Really? Being a food broadcaster is purely my personal hobby. I just like to taste delicious food and I have a big appetite, so I became a broadcaster to kill time. After doing live broadcasts for more than half a year, Rocky has never asked fans for gifts. When he encounters fans who give him too many gifts, he will frantically persuade them not to give them and even add their contact information to return the gift money. So everyone doesn't need to give me gifts now, really. Rocky pouted and waited for his tasting dishes. The full table of spicy dishes in front of him made him feel very uncomfortable. Even now, there is still a burning feeling in his stomach. He probably has to live in the toilet this afternoon. Rocky watched the live broadcast of the Cathead anchor while patiently waiting for his tasting dish. He only hoped that he could draw the fried meatballs and not the ultimate dark cuisine celery fried meat. However, the fact is that the more you want, the less you get. He stared at the plate of celery fried meat in front of him. Why not fried meatballs? Orange juice in Rocky's hand. I laughed to death. It turned out to be celery fried meat. Rocky, taste it and share it with us. I'm so curious about the taste of this celery fried meat. Alas. Rocky sighed and finally picked up the chopsticks resignedly. As a food broadcast anchor, it is his duty to taste all kinds of dishes. Although this plate of celery fried meat looks good, he still can't accept the existence of celery and flame fruit. So he stretched out his chopsticks tremblingly, carefully picked up a piece of shredded meat, and put it to his mouth. The shredded pork, which had just been taken out of the pot, was still steaming a little bit, and the faint aroma of meat went straight into his nose. Rocky swallowed his saliva, and put the shredded pork into his mouth. The tender and refreshing shredded pork had a spicy taste, and the more he chewed, the more fragrant it became. It doesn't taste strange. He smacked his lips and tried to pick up a piece of celery fried with meat. Maybe the celery and flame fruit shreds were really processed well, but the fear of celery and flame fruit in his heart still made him close his eyes. As long as he couldn't see, he could brainwash himself that he was not eating celery and flame fruit. However, he soon opened his eyes because the celery fried with meat in his mouth was too fragrant. The celery was crisp and delicious, and it didn't taste astringent or fishy. After the flame fruit was processed, the spiciness was just right, at a perfect level that allowed people to taste the spiciness without being too uncomfortable. Moreover, the spiciness of the flame fruit was perfectly integrated into the shredded pork, and the meaty aroma and spiciness blended together, bursting in the mouth with the fragrance and crispness of celery. Oh my god. This smells so good. After swallowing the food in his mouth, Rocky picked up a large chopstick of celery and pork and ate it. His mouth was now full of rich freshness and just the right amount of spiciness, and with a big mouthful of sweet rice, he felt like he was in a legendary fairyland. And even if he had eaten in countless restaurants and tried countless dishes, he couldn't find a dish that could compare to this plate of celery and pork. The last update is also delivered. I hope the little angels like it. 030. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.